You do. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so you guys can probably hear me now, which is good. I don't know. And I don't know why the desktop audio is not picking up. That is really weird. Is it my sound or everybody's? Because your guys' audio comes in from the desktop. Mine comes in from the microphone. That's just desktop audio is active. Mic is active. Okay, so give me just 1 second. I tell you what, I'm gonna cut over to the thumbnail while I figure this out for a second, guys, and give me about 5 minutes. Thank you guys very much. Okay, folks, the good news is I think I figured it out. So I think we're going to go ahead and try this live thing again as I try once again to introduce my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What were you saying, my friend?
Well, before I was rudely interrupted, I think I was talking about not having
Being really
Netflix.
interrupted?
Yeah. I don't have I never really had Netflix, so anything that was ever on there or any big show or movie or whatnot that was a big popular thing, I never really got into. So it was just kind of my whole thing, and I didn't really ask a lot of people like, "Hey, can you share your Netflix with me?" So to be honest, now I mean I have the means, and I bought I bought the Hellfire Club shirt, which I'm not mad that it's on back order, and I'm not surprised. However, it will get here around the time when I can bust out that denim vest again, and it's gonna look sick. So it gives me time to catch up, and I can, maybe if there's a season 5 or whatever that all comes to an end.
There is supposedly already
then,
like in the works.
All right, then I'll be there for that and be caught up.
I will too. I'm gonna catch up by then, but I'm gonna wait to watch the end of season 4 till right before season 5 premieres.
I'll watch it all. I'll catch back up and earn the right to wear the shirt, as it were.
I don't know if I have the right to wear it because I don't play D&D, and it's a D&D club, but I'm going to buy it anyway.
Yeah, see,
I think it's badass.
See, I do. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, fine. I see why everyone keeps telling me to get into it, so I'm like, whatever. And I feel Eddie's line. Outside of D&D, I'm no hero. I'm like, yeah, I'd run the fuck away too. I don't. No.
And then, of course,
I'm rolling for initiative.
And joining us for the first time is a guy who has broke down all 900 of the Marvel movies up to the end of Phase 3. That is my good friend from the Horny Goat. My man Connor. What's going on with you today, my brother?
How's it going? I am very, very happy to be here. Long-time fan, first-time guest, so very excited to be here talking some fun stuff. Obviously some Marvel things, but other things in between. So I'm good. I'm looking forward to this. I am very humbled by the invitation. Thank you.
Connor and his crew have broken down all of the Marvel movies from Iron Man all the way up to, I think, what are you guys up to now? You guys just did Spider-Man No Way Home? Or Far From Home?
We did Far From Home. So we're all caught up into Phase 3. So we're just about to enter Phase 4. And God bless my friends for me dragging them through the mud of every single MCU movie and forcing them to watch it at gunpoint. We've gotten just past through Phase 3. Phase 4 will start in 2 weeks. We're doing a little bit more separation because the series obviously a little bit longer. But yeah, Phase 4 starts in about 2 weeks from now.
Definitely go check out them. He's also got a lot of good wrestling content, too. I know there's a lot of wrestling fans in the community. For those of you who don't come from the community that we exist in, if you're into wrestling, they do a lot of fun stuff, too, with the wrestling video games. And, of course, a lot of other gaming stuff that they do at random times, so go check it out. And there's Jeremy showing... he's got The Undertaker. There he is, right there.
I've got The Undertaker, baby. Coming out of the coffin.
Wait. What's wrestling? What's wrestling? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I've never heard never heard of it. Never watched it.
That's a whole video in itself.
Connor has completely cut the cord.
What are you talking about? I have no idea who you're referring to.
But look, plenty of stuff to get into, but right off the top, I do want to thank Tex for sending me something earlier today on Twitter and reminding me that next week, we're going to have a really cool trailer to break down, because on the 20th, which I think is a Wednesday as I recall, if I looked at the calendar right earlier, we are going to be getting the trailer for Halloween Ends. So, looking forward to that one big time. Tex sent me that earlier. Yeah, Tex sent me that earlier. It's going to be an interesting trailer breakdown, because I love the first Halloween movie of this new trilogy. Second one, had some issues, but overall I liked it. I'm really eager to see how this
Evil dies tonight.
Yeah, Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
Is it really going to end? Come on.
I don't know, but we'll break down all that stuff next week. That's going to be really, really cool, because I'm really that's one of the horror movies. Look, there's a couple of horror movies that are coming out that I'm really, really interested in, and I'm really glad. I've said it before. The last year or so, the genre of horror has gotten so much better the last 5 or 6 years. We've gotten out of those just really stale teeny bopper horror movies of the 90s and early 2000s. They're getting back to some of the stuff that made horror movies great back in the 70s and 80s. So I'm really excited at some of the stuff coming up. Nope is one that I really want to go see. I'm probably going to get together a review for that one.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited with some of the stuff coming up. And Halloween Ends is, I don't know, it's Jamie Lee Curtis. She's one of the primary horror final girls, the queens of Scream. So it's going to be interesting to see see what that trailer gives us, how much it gives us of the plot, if it gives us an idea of exactly how things end. But yeah, we'll be able to break that one down next week. So keep an eye out for that next week. But before that, we have another trailer we want to talk about. And Lady Cora, which one is that?
Well, Lily Munster is just looking for the perfect man. Who cares if he's conjured up in a lab? The trailer for Rob Zombie's The Munsters reimagining centers on Lily, played by Sherry Moon Zombie, begging her father, Daniel Roebuck, for the man of her dreams. After a few failed attempts with a Nosferatu-esque bachelor, Herman Munster, played by Jeff Daniel Phillip, is made in Frankenstein's essence. The family eventually relocates from Transylvania to the American suburbs with hijinks ensuing. The film's release is in September of this year. Frank, what did you think of the trailer for The Munsters?
Oh, come on.
A good start. Come on, Mr. Trailer. What'd you think?
Come on.
Look, I said if the trailer's fire, I'm happy. Look,
it doesn't mean the movie is going to be
Is this the first
Okay,
movie
first off-
you wouldn't pay to see in the theater?
first off, let me make this very clear. These are not my words. I heard somebody else say this online. Someone said this is the Cats of movie trailers.
No.
Like, no shit.
No.
Like, look, I'm not going to lie to you.
No.
Look, okay, hold
No.
on. Rob Zombie has been hit or miss as a director for me. I'm not going to
That's a
lie.
bold statement.
I mean,
That's
House of a
fair.
Thousand Corpses was good. The Halloween movies, I didn't really like.
Yeah.
Not really the right spirit. That was the other one he did. Not House of a Thousand Corpses.
Devil's Rejects?
Devil's
Does he
Rejects.
make
That was
them
it.
funny?
I thought
Very
that was
good.
good. But
Very
the thing is it's not a straight up horror thing. He's trying to take a comedy that's around the monster universe of characters like Frankenstein and Dracula and stuff. So it was going to be very different.
Yeah.
However, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, I'm open-minded because maybe this is going to be a different look at the whole thing. Maybe he'll do comedy well, and maybe he'll give it a little bit more of a horror thing. But I got to be honest, this movie looks the trailer anyway. Looks like it was shot on an iPhone and put together on like Adobe Premiere by some 13-year-old kid. It just didn't look
So
good.
it throws
Well,
some
no.
Winnie the Pooh horror comedy vibe?
Okay, we're not talking about that. We finally got a poster for that. We're not talking about it. No. No. Oh, no.
Yeah,
They took my honey.
No, look, I dig the idea of going back and showing a little bit of how Herman and Lily meet, how their love grows. I kind of dig that, and I kind of like the overall look of some of the footage that I've seen, some of the set pictures and things like that. But the reality is, this trailer was just awful. It didn't do anything for me at all,
right,
and it kind of made me wonder if Rob Zombie's the kind of guy to do something like this.
I mean, if you're looking at it from just the trailer, okay, I can give you that. But I mean, at the same time, it's like it's the Munsters. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like I expected the cheesy corniness, and then like
I did too.
Yeah, I expected exactly more or less what I saw from the trailer. So I see where you're coming at, where it's like, yeah, someone, I think TSS in the chat looks like someone made it in Windows Movie Maker. Yeah, I'm not denying that, like, cinematically the trailer does not look fantastic, but at the same time, it's like, well, like, yeah,
it's meant to look kind of goofy. It's like it's from what, the 60s. It had the same little weird transition wipes and stuff like that where you'd expect from that. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of in spirit of the show. It's not meant to be.
Is that why the trailer is the way it is? Because he's intentionally made, like with WandaVision, the first episode was in black and white. Was he trying to make the trailer look like this on purpose?
You know, there's actually a theory out there that he did.
I thought it was supposed to look, like I said, kind of in spirit with the...
Yeah, there's a theory out there that this trailer is a troll. That he intentionally put. Now, I don't think this is the case.
I don't know.
There's
I don't
no
think
evidence.
so.
But there is actually a theory out there rolling around online, and I think maybe John Campea had brought it up on his show yesterday or today, where he put this trailer out, that he knew it was awful. He knew people were going to look at this trailer and just cringe and be like, "Oh my god, this looks terrible." But when the movie actually hits theaters, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be like Herman is going to start ripping people's heads off when they hurt his kid. It's just going to be pure, unadulterated gore horror. I don't think
what they're about. Like,
I mean,
do you want him to make it look like his Halloween movies? Like, Jesus, no.
Well, what if he turned it into like his version of like Addams Family? That's where you like you rock that line a little bit more, where you get a little bit of the best of both worlds.
I was going to ask that next. Like, so we're going to talk about it, right? The Munsters versus the Addams. Because I'm kind of more on the Addams Family side myself.
I am too, but I mean, if Rob Zombie's fucking directing this, then I mean, just saying. Oh, there's a severed head just rolling through.
That's a number Wednesday, I guess you could say.
I see what you did there. But I mean, I get where you're coming from, Frank. Like in terms of like the way the trailer looked. Yeah, it did not look fantastic. It didn't look great at all. But if he's gonna stay true to the stuff, or like the source of the original Munster show, then that makes sense. I think unfortunately it's a situation where like I think he was damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because if he leans in one direction, it's gonna be like this reaction. If he leans in the other direction, it's like, well, that's nothing like the original. So I think it's kind of a tough spot. So I'm curious, but I do not think
don't
it's
you
a troll.
think Connor in an interview, like someone go, come on, what's with this?
I don't think anybody.
Well,
You know what? They probably will.
I don't think anybody who ever wants to get an interview again would ever ask anybody that kind of a question. but
You need to make it look like shit.
but I mean, you know what?
To be
Honestly,
fair, do you really get mad that like Clerks came out in 1994, but it's all in black and white? You'd be sitting there like, why is a movie made in the
Actually,
90s in black and white? That's dumb.
But I've heard
Actually,
Kevin
like that
Smith
way.
talk about why, so that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, like we're saying, is this not meant to be like the campy kind of like old school show? I mean, wouldn't you want to keep in spirit with that, especially if you're bringing back people from the original show in the first place?
If you wanted
You know
to
what I
make it campy like the old school show, you would do it in black and white, but you're not. You see, what this
don't have to do
movie,
that.
what this looked like to me was, it looked like I was watching the trailer for the old Brady Bunch movie that came out like in the mid '90s. Like
Yes.
it looked
You
like
remember
that.
that?
Yes, I remember that. It's one of those movies
Wow.
that's so horrible that you kind of have to watch it.
It's something from the 90s that he wants to
Yeah, I
hate
didn't
on,
even
Cora. We know
see it.
how he is.
No, don't get
That's
me
true.
wrong. There is a quality about that movie. It's like if it's on, I'll watch it. I'm not gonna rush home to say,
Did you
oh yeah.
pay to see that Brady Bunch movie in the theater?
I'm pretty sure I went to the theaters to see it back when I was
Oh.
20 years old. But I was 20 and
Nice.
stupid. I was 20 and stupid. That's my excuse.
Fair enough.
But it's like that's what I felt like. I felt like I was watching from some shitty comedy in the 90s. Now I want this movie to be awesome, but this trailer does
Well,
not
what
help.
if this is just the first trailer and then the next one's going to be like the
Yeah.
legit one?
If the next one gives me something else, great. And I want it to, but this trailer, not good. And I'm not, dude, when you've got people online,
disagree.
again, not my words, when you've got people online saying this is the Cats of movie trailers, this may be one of the worst movie trailers ever released, that's saying something. Because Rob
That's a
Zombie
bold
hasn't got...
statement.
In the trailer for that TV adapted movie for what's his name? The guy who caught in the movie theater jerking off who had the kids show.
Pee-wee?
Pee Wee Herman, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like that was creepy. I mean, there's weird.
You took my bike!
Look,
There
man,
have to, Frank, there have to be worse trailers you've seen. Like a lot of them.
Like, no, hold on. If you ask somebody to explain the movie Cats, and then explain the Munsters, you'd know what the hell the Munsters is. I bet you there's not one damn person who can actually tell you what the hell Cats is about. That's a pretty bold statement.
I
don't
know
know
what it's
what
about.
drugs you need to take
it's
in
not
what
about-
order in excess to understand that movie.
I mean, I
I
know
don't-
what drugs are taken.
I don't think
Okay,
it's
well.
about what Cats is about. I think it's about the way Cats bombed. And
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's about the overall quality of the film that ruined Cats for people. So when people are looking at this trailer and you're like, that's the Cats of movie trailers, it's like, ow, that hits you
No.
right in the balls.
Yeah.
You know what's wrong with the Cats
Uh,
movies? Because they digitally put the assholes in and then they took them back out.
Well, and the uncanny valley of trying to put their faces on these fucking cat bodies that doesn't. I don't even think that's a really really harsh comparison,
Taylor
and I don't think
Swift
it
got
deserves
to be
it.
one that
I don't-
kind of.
No,
But
I'm not with that.
Here's the other thing that worries me. It's like directors have a certain area where they excel, and other areas where they don't, where their directorial style doesn't always mix, doesn't always work well.
Right.
we talked about that.
The person that I point out all the time on this is Tim Burton. He's been very hit or miss as a director
Great.
for me. When he hits hard. He hits home runs. He hits
Right.
bombs. When he misses, his shit is flat garbage, and there is no in between with him. But all the movies that he makes that have been really, really good, with the exception of one that I can think of, have been kind of very dark in tone, kind of macabre. But when he tries to do something else, it's like the whole debacle of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. A lot of people were like, "Oh, but that's a really dark book." I'm like, "No, it's not." They used
Frank, is it possible somebody else did this trailer and Rob Zombie didn't actually do it?
That's
do
a
it.
possibility, because there are houses in LA that are used. They're trailer houses. That's what they're referred to as. They get footage and they cut a trailer out, and then a lot of the times the director doesn't have any say on the trailer, but sometimes they do. And Rob Zombie's got just enough pull to where he might have some say in the trailer. This movie is really just kind of an expensive independent film. I mean, this movie is costing something like $30 or $40 million, which is not a whole lot of money by today's standards, compared to the $500 they spent making Endgame, $500 million they spent making Avengers Endgame. But I mean, come on. I mean, you still got to come out with a better trailer than that, because these days a shit trailer could ruin your box office. And I don't know.
You're not wrong.
I don't know. I just look.
I'm more-
House of a Thousand Corpses, the real hardcore horror stuff. I think his directorial sensibilities can work for. But you're not directing a horror now. You're directing a comedy. This is a comedy that happens to have like Frankenstein and Dracula, but they're not killing people. It's at its core. It's a comedy. I don't know how they can do
It's
comedy.
not dark. It's not dark comedy like the House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects is.
No.
Like,
No.
it's not the same. You're trying to do like campy, funny horror, which is, I guess, kind of its own little weird subgenre. And that's a hard thing to do.
It could be, it could be Rob Zombie's like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in a sense, in terms of like him like trying something different and seeing if it's going to work, which is going to go either way. But I do hear some credence and hold some credence to the idea that maybe he had little to no say in the trailer. Because I've heard a lot of movies, especially nowadays, with some exceptions, have no control over the trailers.
Are there examples? This is a question for all of you, where you thought a concept was maybe a good idea, but you weren't sure about execution. The trailer was terrible, but you went and saw it and it was kick-ass, and you just realized the trailer really didn't represent the movie well.
Oh, and that happens a lot. I mean, I just said it. It's like sometimes there are terrible trailers to movies that are really good. Sometimes there are banging ass trailers to movies that are awful. But I mean, so
it's just not the metaphor of don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Are you judging a movie by its trailer?
No, I'm saying this trailer's god awful, and I'm saying I want the movie to be good, and I'm still going to go see it, hoping that it's going to be good. But I do have concerns with his directorial sensibilities and how he directs a film. That's what
you're trepidatious, and it's understandable.
Like I said,
it's bold
this
to take
movie is
that on,
more of a
though.
comedy than a horror. It's very little horror. Yeah. It's this much horror. It's 99% comedy, and he's never done a comedy. So look, like I said, I want this movie to kick ass, but I'm very cautious at this point. I'm very, very concerned. But,
which is fair considering what you just brought up. So,
but anyway, you guys go down in the comments below. I'm sure Tex is blowing a gasket right now. I've been seeing some of his comments. I've been seeing some of his comments. But trust me, when this movie comes out, Tex is probably going to be here to review it with us. So, this movie does come out. I forget exactly what day, but it comes out in September of this year. So this fall, we'll be able to see
soon.
It's pretty soon. So we'll be able to see this fall if Rob Zombie can make a turn from more of the shock horror stuff, which he's been pretty good at, to the more comedic stuff, which is at its core the essence of the Monsters. But go down in the comments below, let us know what you guys think. Yay or nay on the Monsters trailer? Most people are thinking nay. And again, it's not me saying this.
Like that.
The internet is shitting all over this trailer. It's like not just one or two people on the internet. The internet in its entirety is shitting on this trailer. Like a lot of people are shitting on it. But yes, Tex did say September 22nd is when it hits in theaters. So
most of you on the internet weren't even alive when that show came out. So what the fuck do you know?
I wasn't alive when that show came out.
Pirate Day is September 21st or 22nd.
But by the way, I did take a quick look at the trailer, and I did notice at the very bottom it did say it was rated PG.
Oh, geez.
Well, that goes the theory right out the window.
Yeah, yeah, real. But anyway, let us know what you guys think of Rob Zombie's trailer for his upcoming reboot of The Monsters. And Lady Cora, what's the next story we'll be talking about today?
Well, in the first Avatar movie, Sigourney Weaver starred as Dr. Grace Augustine, an exobiologist and head of the Avatar program on Pandora. Despite meeting an untimely end in the feature, James Cameron announced a few years after its release that the alien actress would be back for the sequel as a new character. While a common guess was that Sigourney Weaver would be back for Avatar: The Way of Water to play the personification of the Tree of Souls, in reality she's playing Na'vi, named Kiri, who's the adopted teenage daughter of Sam Worthington's Jake Sully and Zoe Saldana Neytiri. Connor, what do you think of the way Weaver is returning to the Avatar franchise?
It's weird to see an actress play a different role in a franchise like this. And I'll be honest, like, you know, I don't really know what to make of it, because I have to. It's tough, but like in general, seeing like an actress returning, or any actor or actress returning to like well, it's gonna, how many movies are they gonna make of Avatar? Like 17?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
150
Just
years.
under
Yeah,
the,
probably.
the threshold of Fast and Furious. So they're at 25, so they're going to be
He
17.
better hurry up. He wants to make all these movies.
Yeah, no kidding. So I mean, it could work out. It could be great. I mean, if she's going to be especially mostly CGI anyway, I guess. I'll have to see how it plays out in the actual movie. It is an interesting creative choice, though, just from like the idea of like, oh, she's going to play this completely different character. So,
Jeremy, I mean, you've seen Avatar. What do you think of the way that she's going to be returning?
You mean when the movie came out 53 years ago? Yeah,
Something like that, yeah.
Do I remember what happened? No. Do I care? No. I don't even know what the fuck you just explained to me, and it sounds like a lot of weird shoehorning to be like, let's put it back in there.
Well, tell us how you really
No.
feel, Jeremy.
yeah.
I haven't seen it either.
I don't know James Cameron personally, and I don't care. You can come fight me. Whatever. I don't know.
The ride at Disney is fucking insane. I'll say that much about Avatar.
I don't know. I think what's that? I probably can't say it on YouTube. Never mind. It's a meme, and I can't. I was like, wait. I know I just dropped an F-bomb, but I probably can't say that on YouTube. So I think my brain imploded when you tried to explain that to me, and I don't even know what I don't care. I don't care about this movie. I don't care about him yelling at all of us like, I don't want to hear any of you complain about the 3-hour runtime. I see you fuckers sitting there like binging a show for 6 hours. I'm like, yeah, in our homes, on our own time, not in a theater where we have to sit there and watch it. We watched Endgame, dude. It wasn't that bad, so shut up. What are you complaining? Who are you complaining to get off your lawn? Shut up. God, he infuriates the fuck out of me. Sorry.
Yeah, Cameron's kind of gone off the deep end. I mean, I did a video, I don't know, probably a year or more.
Quite literally, right?
Yeah, quite literally. I did a video a year or more ago talking about...
I'm funny.
I think this was probably before we even kind of got the show together in this current format, of just like how he's really done nothing since...
Yeah, like, name me his movies. He did Titanic and Avatar.
He did Titanic, he did Avatar, and before that, it was...
That's it.
It was probably, 10 years from, like, The Abyss? I mean, he's made like 2 big movies in the last 25 years. But
you don't want to count like documentaries or anything like.
Yeah, not count. Yeah, he did a ton of documentaries, and a couple of them were really good. Yeah. I saw, but
which is great.
But look,
movies,
I mean, yeah. For one, as far as the way she's returning, I don't care as long as she's here.
Yep.
Because remember, she's not going to be. Well, she might be doing some of the mocap stuff, but she's not going to be in her current very still young and beautiful form playing a teenage girl. So it's going to be a lot of voiceover work. Yeah. And her voice, I think, works just fine.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that. Look, you want to have someone like this around. Sigourney Weaver, she's a Hall of Famer. She's one of the best ever. She's easily one of the best of our generation. So having her around is important. She's worked with Cameron a ton of times before. So her and Cameron work well together. And she was and honestly, I think he probably killed her in the first movie because he didn't realize that maybe Avatar would eventually go on to be the highest grossing movie ever.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My mom just killed me with that comment. I haven't seen the Blue People movies. I'm like, that's what I would call it. I would call it that because I'm like, I don't care enough to even say its name.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, but as far as her coming back, it makes sense. He had to find some way to work her in because she's a tremendously popular actress. Her character was actually really popular and really, really well loved in the original. So yeah, find a way to work her back in. I do think it's weird, but not the weirdest thing that Cameron has ever done in a film. Let's be honest. So,
True.
Yeah.
Didn't this happen in the MCU? The guy who played Wanda's brother in WandaVision, he played another character.
Yep.
In the MCU, it's happened in a couple different ways, but it hasn't been... And yeah, people have kind of poo-pooed it there, but it worked out really well, so a lot of people... So it just kind of went off... It got pushed off to the wayside. I think this will probably be a lot of the same. I think they're really going to like the fact that she's in the movie. They're really going to like her performance, her voice over performance, and... Maybe she'll hang out long enough to... I imagine she's going to be in the next 75 Avatar films he wants to make. So
probably. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic that this is going to be as good as the last Avatar film, which I think is good but wildly overrated. That's kind of what I think. But I don't know. Any final thought? Look, as far as Cameron is concerned, whatever. He already sounds. There's he already sounds to me like he's trying to make excuses for Avatar 2 not doing very well. Because he's already talking about not coming back to...
Yeah.
He's already talking about not coming back to direct the last 2 movies, 3 and 4. So...
No, he's doing 3.
Wait.
I think
Or
he's
4
signed
and
to do
5,
3.
or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
something about the last 2
Has he
movies that he has
actually-
planned, he's not planning on
Has
directing.
he actually committed to more than a second one?
Yeah.
Well, is he also
I
going to leave the
It's
movie
not just
in
a joke
theaters
you
for
guys
a...
are making. There are supposed to be more than 2 of these.
think
Well,
there's like
it's a joke
6.
either way.
I don't know what he... I'm sure he plans on making Avatar movies until the sun stops shining. But what the movie theater production companies are going... Or movie production companies are going to say might be different. Because I think a lot of people are expecting this movie to make like $1.5 billion. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I think $1 billion's probably the ceiling for this movie. And I think a lot of that's going to be because A, it's Cameron. B, it's got some pretty good, badass actors in it. And C, there's a lot of still kind of hardcore Avatar fans. But they're not going to go. They're not going to go see the movie in droves enough to make it to push it up to the 2.68 billion or whatever that the first Avatar.
Well, if you leave it in theaters for 5 years, it will.
That's the other thing, yeah. But yeah,
I made this much money. Yeah, of course you did.
Well, it was in theaters from 1973 until 2007. So yeah, you made.
I know.
But I don't know. I'm okay with Sigourney Weaver coming back in this role. I don't care. It sounds interesting to me. And you'd rather have her in it than not have her in it because she's a big draw. But
I'll say that. And the visuals are stunning. I will give it that. I mean, like, visually, it was a fucking wild movie.
yeah,
But like I said,
there's a whole LARPing community of Avatar fans.
they're
somehow.
probably furries of people that fucking dress up like Navi. I don't
There are
even...
people who dress up like.
I've got a
characters.
9-foot vampire woman on my shirt. You don't think people dress up as the blue people that are like 7 feet tall?
Thing. I went down
Come
the
on.
rabbit hole of what is LARPing at some point years ago.
Don't
I did.
Don't do it to yourself.
clear your
On
browser
YouTube.
history. Clear it now.
This is
Safe
5
search,
years
safe
ago,
search,
Connor.
safe search.
Yeah.
And there was one video about Avatar.
Oh
LARPing.
god, no.
It was.
I've if anyone's ever watched, I keep trying to say fellow YouTubers because we're all on the same platform and act like this person knows me. But if you're watching any of Soviet Womble's videos, his buddy Cyanide talks about the Navi, and he's like, don't you ever just get really emotional when your pubes reach out and touch something? He's like, you know how their hair when they go like that? He's like, that's what they do. I'm like, stop. You're ruining it for me. Stop.
Why is there more of this video?
Damn it.
I don't know, but let us know in the comments what you guys think. It's Sigourney Weaver returning to voice a teenage character that is going to be the adopted daughter. The adopted daughter is very weird to me. I don't understand that either, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The adopted daughter of Jake Sully and Neytiri. I don't know. Get in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Also, let us know if you think that Cameron's full of shit and he's gone a little senile because he's just bitching about other movies that are making more money than his anymore, which I think is a big part of it.
Yeah, I'm on that team.
But before we move on to the next story, Jeremy, you have some unboxing stuff you want to do.
Woohoo!
Oh, that was fast. Now that we got through the 804 million page synopsis of Avatar.
We have to have you do this now so we don't lose all the viewers after
Part
being
1.
bored from us talking about Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now I'll just bore them with more of this, and it's fine. Whether they stick around to the end for me to bash them for not watching any of my content, I mean, whatever. It's fine. You all heard what I said. So, I said I was going to do this, and I'm not letting this go, and it's kind of a shame that Brooding Gamer's not here to see this, which gives away what it is. But I said I was going to do the trifecta, and also I have one more in this line coming, but we'll get there when we get there. But now we have... Oh my god, I can't do this. I'll just do it all at one big shot. Shoot my whole shot. We now have Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Molly Sattler.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Woo!
Got the man himself right there.
Speaking of Alan Grant, I watched his live stream today. Been playing some game. I don't know what it was. It was fantastic.
Probably Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Boom! There we
Yeah.
go.
Nice.
Got all 3 of them.
Excellent.
Oh yeah. Now I need to find somewhere.
Find space, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing is actually right up, pointing right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I see.
That's probably the one I'm pointing at right.
Are you putting all the Jurassic Park ones together?
Yeah, because the only other one up there that are normal boxes, but they're sideways, is
Right.
the other Ian Malcolm because he's laying down, and then I have Nuka Girl from Fallout. So funny enough,
Nice.
the other one I have coming is Jurassic Park, and it is also sideways. So
Is
I
it
don't
the
know.
one with the gate? Where it
No.
shows the... Oh.
No, the one with John Hammond. No, that's a bigger. I saw that one. It's a bigger pop. No, but I'll put it up there. I'm gonna put those three together, and then maybe do something with Ian Malcolm because I like that him and Nuka Girl are kind of sitting opposite like directions.
Right.
And then I'm gonna screw up that aesthetic by putting that up there, but it's all right. This is just Ian Nightmare. See, he can't see. He doesn't see. There's wait. You can kind of see it. There it is. There's a whole
Fantastic.
7,000 piece Millennium Falcon right
Good
behind me.
lord,
Oh,
the patience you have.
Yeah.
You know, Connor.
By the way,
he wants
if
to
you
be
want to see
special.
that series,
He should take it apart piece by piece and put it back together by memory.
there is no way in hell.
Do you want this man to like you want to see him break his heart live on camera? Like that? No.
I pick on him.
I think she just like secretly hates me.
I
just
actually
all
think
there.
I did see a little bit of the videos of putting it together. I think I did see some of that.
Probably. So there's that. Yeah, there's a DeLorean back there. There's Optimus Prime, if anyone saw that. But yeah,
Clearly, as you can tell from my merchandise that I'm wearing now, I have a ton of DC Funko Pops.
fair enough. I've got a whole shelf of Batman right behind me, right there. That's all Batman.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
my signed poster from with Kevin Costner. No, Kevin Conroy. I about fucked myself up. It's back there, so I need to
Nice.
put it up there. Yeah, I went as the Joker because, of course, I did.
Of course.
He loved it, so that's all that mattered to me.
Awesome.
Yeah, now we have the trifecta, and I've got one more Jurassic World one coming in. If that didn't already give it away, there's your hint. Two more. I just thought about it. I have two more Jurassic
I
World
had
ones
to cut myself off because I was going a little too crazy with mine because I was just again severe critic.
Don't be like me, kids. You end up like this. Well, I
I'm
mean,
gonna
shit,
buy
you even
one,
have
and that's it
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. Haven't picked
Kinda-
one
yeah.
yet.
you get one like that where they're custom. Am I pointing at the right place? Where they're custom made. I'm pointing at the wall. Yeah, you get two custom made ones of yourself and your significant other. So.
Ooh, that might be a good idea. I like
Which
that.
is pretty cool.
Unfortunately, the person who did those is no longer in business. Unfortunately,
Damn.
because the thing was like it was for the haunted cave, so I needed to have like devil horns and like other special crap, and a lot of people wouldn't do it, but they did. But unfortunately, now they're no longer in business. But that's a crown jewel. That's up there at the top.
I love the
What?
goats in the chat.
Huh?
The screaming.
Someone's putting goat emojis in the chat. I love it.
I
That-
may have
that is-
said
that
it
is-
before.
that is my good friend Tim who actually went to go who
Hello.
I actually went with him to go see Thor: Love and Thunder in the movie theater. We went together.
Did he like
and-
it? You have to tell us
I
later.
mean, you can clearly see what his favorite part of the movie was.
I have words about that, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
I thought the goats were because you're on the show. Just saying.
I really
Either
hope so,
way.
'cause that is
Either
that's
way.
funny.
But yeah, so go down in the comments below. Let us know what Funko Pops you think Jeremy should buy from that. Because from now on, at this point, if Jeremy wants to buy any more Funko Pops, he's gonna have to move out.
Do not let the internet decide what I'm gonna buy. Please don't.
I'm gonna pick one, Jeremy. I'm just gonna send it to you. And it'll
No,
be
you're not. You're
surprise.
gonna send it to me out of the fucking box and make me
I
mad.
will,
I need-
yeah, I'll send you the empty box. I'm gonna buy one and send you the empty box.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna have to move, so she doesn't send me shit like
And
that.
then he's gonna spit it and send it back. Like, here, have this.
Send her. Boom.
Don't forget, there is a poll in the chat now. For those of you who have seen Thor: Love and Thunder, you can chime in and let us know if you actually like the movie or not. We've got a couple more stories we want to go over before we get to our big
I don't know if I want to answer
Thor, our big Thor: Love and Thunder spoiler review. We've got a couple of stories before that. And since we've gotten through with Jeremy's unboxing, Lady Cora, what is the next story we'll be talking about tonight?
Well, after portraying Sir Elton John, Taron Egerton is hoping to someday embody a different iconic figure, Logan. The actor, known for his role as Eggsy in the first two Kingsman films and for playing John in Rocketman, spoke with the New York Times Friday. piece mentions that Egerton has met with Marvel Studios brass, including President Kevin Feige, in We Trust, and that he would like to follow in Hugh Jackman's footsteps as the next Wolverine. Jackman, who co-starred with Egerton in 2016's Eddie the Eagle, last played the X-Men member in 2017's Logan. Jeremy, what do you think of Egerton taking on Wolverine?
Oh, crap. We had to ask me this question, didn't we? Oh,
No
boy.
pressure.
Right. It's only my favorite X-Man. Before,
Oh, cool.
even before Hugh Jackman did it. I'm talking about the 90s cartoon.
So would you like this guy to play him?
Again, that's big shoes to fill, man. I don't know.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Right, thank you. Hey, when I saw Professor X roll out and he had that little theme, I was like, ugh. I was like fucking 10 years old.
For you, this might be like James Bond. Like, it should be a very careful process of who gets to play it next.
I'm not saying no one else can do it. It's just, man, how do you? You gotta be careful with that. I don't know what context we're doing. Like, are we doing? Because he seems like a younger looking guy, so I don't know if we're doing something like younger Wolverine. I mean, it had the '90s cartoon on there, Mike. So I mean, if you see him, we complete that joke. Like, what'd you expect? Yellow spandex, and then this guy rolls in the yellow and black suit.
Yeah.
I mean, in my top 8 right there is Zombie Wolverine, and actually Hugh Jackman's somewhere down there from. I think it's actually from Origins, which hurts my soul, not from Logan. But I've got I got a Lego Logan over there, so whatever. That makes up for it. I don't know, man. I would have to see it, and I hate to take Frank's thing here, and I'm like, give me a trailer, give me a little taste of it. Let me see what we're doing with this first.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to see what it would look like. I mean,
yeah, I'm not opposed. I'm just saying it's you got to be careful with that. You got somebody who played that role for what, like 19, 17 years?
It's about 2000.
Like that, yeah.
Was it 2000?
2000.
Yeah.
2017.
So yeah, 17 years.
Yeah, about 17 years. So through all of its crazy ups and downs and Days of Future Past, I don't know. I couldn't get that word out.
Is there room for more Wolverine content? Because in my mind, looking back over all of the stuff, at least movie-wise, it seems like they covered his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're.
Well, look, there's always room for more content for the character, because you got to remember
he's been alive for a long time.
We're not going to be getting Hugh Jackman's version of the Wolverine. That Wolverine's gone. I'm sure it exists in one of the dimensions that Doctor Strange floated through in the movie, but the Hugh Jackman version of Wolverine is not in this. So we're getting a totally fresh version. So he doesn't have to continue Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He gets to start one of his own, which I think would be a great idea. I like Taron Egerton. I really like the Kingsman movies, the first one more than the second one, and I'm glad that they're coming out with the third one because I think they're a fun series. I think they're a more modern kind of more mod version of James Bond. But the thing is he hits some of the notes that a lot of people thought Hugh Jackman didn't hit when he got cast. Because a lot of people were like, Wolverine, he's kind of a short, stocky guy. Why are you going to get this 6'3", musical theater guy from Australia? It's like, that doesn't make sense at all. And now we're like, holy shit, we don't want anybody but Jackman to do this, or we're going to revolt. But he's actually going to fit the character a little bit. He's going to fit the physicality of the character a little bit more. He's probably not going to be as ripped as Hugh Jackman was, because let's face it, not many people are. but I think for this version of Wolverine moving forward, now that they're actually going to be in the MCU, I think this isn't a bad choice. Well, now whether they've actually decided to sign him or not, who the hell knows? But I mean, just from the outside looking in, just hearing the idea of him doing it doesn't bother me so much. Connor, what do you think?
I'm kind of in the same boat with Jeremy in terms of it's not that I think he'd be bad at the role whatsoever, or he wouldn't do a good job. It's the we're so akin to really only one person's ever played Wolverine on big screen. It's been Hugh Jackman. It's kind of similar to the idea of for a long time like Batman or Joker to some extent, in the sense of we're so used to this, going any sort of deviation or diversion from it is going to be just a little hard to adjust. So I loved him in Kingsman too. I thought he was fantastic. I could very easily see him playing the role. But I would need to see kind of like more of a visual idea of like seeing how it fit. Because I'm sure you guys have already seen like the crap ton of like fan casting and fan photoshopping of various different actors playing various different people in the MCU that we haven't seen yet. When I saw his name drop a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, that could work. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Some of them I've seen, they're like, absolutely not. But I could see him. But it is kind of one of those things where it's like it's a tough mental image because we've just been so used to Jackman, and he obviously knocked it out of the park. But you're right though, Frank, in the sense of like there is still so much to do with Wolverine, not just in terms of his own, but now you have other things and other instances and other characters, other organizations and things. Now that the MCU has been like just busted wide open, and now you can do so many different things with like the character. You can put him with the X-Men, you can put him against the X-Men, you can put him with the Avengers, or there's the possibilities are almost limitless.
Yeah, they are. I'm down. I mean, look, they're gonna have to bring him in somehow. Well, the character Wolverine, that is.
Yeah, they're going to.
Look, the one thing that Marvel's done very, very well from the moment they decided to make Iron Man is casting. They haven't made a whole lot of casting misses.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think that the guy that played Rhodey in the first movie, why am I drawing a blank? Actor I like a lot.
Anyway. He played who in the what movie?
He played Rhodey in the first Iron Man movie. Taron. Fuck, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like, I really liked him, and I was like, and when they decided to bring in Don Cheadle, I was kind of bummed. I was like, that sucks. I really like that guy. But Don Cheadle has been hitting it out of the park ever since he came in. But, yeah.
You're thinking of Terrence Howard,
yes,
by the way.
Terrence Howard. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Great actor. I've loved a lot of the shit that he's been in. But, they haven't casted wrong at all. I mean, honestly, who have they casted that has not worked out in your mind? I mean, there's a lot of people that bitch about Brie Larson. I got to be honest. I kind of like her as Captain Marvel. I don't have the problems with that other people have. So, yeah, I like her just fine. So
I think you're right.
Yeah, they haven't. That's the one thing they are hitting out of the park. It seems with every movie. So why not say, hey, you know what, Kevin Feige, if you're going to cast this guy, let's do it. Because the one gripe that people kind of continue to have about Jackman was his size. So he's a guy who worked with Jackman. He's buddies with Jackman. Maybe not as good as like Ryan Reynolds is buddies with Jackman, or as we all want to be buddies with Jackman. But I mean, he's worked with him, so he could say, you know what, I've worked with this guy. I think this is the guy that might be able to pick up the claws and move forward into the MCU. If Jackman came out and said something like that, I'd be like, okay, this deal's already signed. We just don't know yet. Because that's generally how it works in Hollywood. If it's getting to us now that there was even talks, I'm willing to bet that they're already in discussions for a contract with him and maybe one other person. So I would imagine it's going to end up like this.
Well, I mean, there's still so many. I mean, I think with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you know, we had those like the fun ones, like the fan ones. I mean, hell, Feige even admitted that, like, oh yeah, we put, wow, I can't think of his name as Fantastic Four. Oh my God! What? Thank you. Oh, why the hell did I blink at his name? Yeah, he mentioned that like we literally did that just because of the fan casting. So there's which fine. It's a fun little like little.
Well, then we spaghetti them. So
we'll see. But my point is that like I think, and this is probably a much longer, deeper conversation. I think that the opportunity to bring in new versions of these characters that Fox didn't have, or different actors to really usher in like, quote unquote, younger versions of these characters, you know what I mean? Could be a real big opportunity for the MCU and for other actors too, because they've kind of taken some risks on some other actors not risks, but like somewhat unknowns for these larger roles. And now, I mean, I think he would be a perfect fit for Wolf. I mean, like I said, I definitely would need to see it, but I wouldn't mind seeing him as Wolverine. Absolutely.
Especially if he's a fan, because I think he'll try to honor it as best as he can. It sounds like he's really wanting, like he's a fan of character to go after it the way he has.
Okay, as much as Frank absolutely loves all this multiverse stuff, this could, like he said, this is. I mean, I like it because I'm like, this is just fun. Like, come on, you can't tell me it wasn't fun seeing John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic for a hot second until he spaghetti-o'd. Like,
Mom spaghetti.
It'll be fun when I see him actually in a Fantastic Four movie.
I know, but I'm saying that it's not like there couldn't be that chance now because of that. Now, I know they kind of very unfairly pulled the rug right from underneath us with Tom Hardy and Venom. That was a dick move.
Yeah, that was a dick move.
But I'm like, we do have the chance to do this with other stories, other actors, and kind of be like, yeah, so this is kind of this is our route we can take now with putting these other, maybe we can see a little bit of a prequel of the Illuminati instead of me having to watch Patrick Stewart get killed fucking twice now as Professor X.
I know. I don't like seeing him die.
I know, and I'm like, in Logan, I know it's not technically. They said that wasn't even in the same storyline as the X-Men that we had. They're like, no, this is just that alternate timeline version of it to still do the Old Man Logan story. Which I'm like, I don't care, fine, whatever. And it was fun. Probably if not the peak movie of the X-Men, if the peak movie for Wolverine, because coming off of Origins, which I didn't hate, because I'm just like, I love mindless Wolverine bullshit.
Here.
But I'm like, I didn't hate that movie as much as other people did. I didn't think it was good, but I was just like, yeah, I just like him seeing doing his thing.
Yeah.
Like that woman next to me in Logan when he just injected himself with that shit and he just was flying through the air, taking people out. She was like, yeah, there he is. That's. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, that's me after my caramel macchiato in the morning too. So.
Right, like that's the power up. Claws come out and then it's time to go to work. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited as hell for this. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think Taron, like I said, he's a young... Look, more importantly, if they want to keep someone around for a while, like, not just 2 or 3 movies, but, like,
yes,
the X-Men stuff, I personally think they're building up towards another Civil War in the Marvel Universe, because there's precedent for that in the comics, like the superheroes versus the mutants. So I think they're building
I could go into a whole thing with you on this.
Yeah,
I think it's a separate video.
I think they're building up to another Civil War, and I think it's going to be with all that. So if you're going to introduce the mutants, which they kind of already did, we'll go into that in just a minute. But
yeah,
so I don't know. I think this is a good idea. It's a slow build, because I know a lot of people are kind of wondering what the direction of the MCU is right now, and that's valid. But the reason I'm not so worried is because, I mean, look, after Stage 3 was over and the Infinity Stones were gone, and they had dispatched Thanos, and the dust was settling, there was going to have to be, in sports terms, a rebuilding period, where you were kind of put your places on the board for the next push towards whatever the next big climactic thing is going to be, and this is where it all starts. So you bring in somebody you bring in some Wolverine, you bring in John, you bring in Mr. Fantastic, you're starting to bring these other people together for another big thing. It's all starting. You know what I mean? And I think this is a pretty good place to start things. And Taron Egerton would be, I think, a good place to start. Is he going to be the first? Well, no, he's not the first mutant, for those of you who know. But is he going to be?
Yes.
Is he going to be the most significant mutant that pops up soon in the MCU? Maybe, maybe not. Because honestly, I still think we're probably a couple years away from seeing any real activity on the mutant front in the MCU.
Well, Marvel, I mean, whether we believe it or not, Feige has said that in interviews that, like, he plans things 7 years out, which, I mean, yeah. And so when did the Fox merger happen? Like, what, a year or 2 ago? So he still has to take into consideration, like, still kind of like weave things in, which so far he's done pretty well with Doctor, in terms of like the Doctor Strange cameo. And obviously, what we we hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, as far as the latest Disney Plus show. Yeah. So, without going into too much detail and spoilers, because God forbid we spoil any more things here. But there's still so much left on the table for the MCU. There's so many big threats, big villains, different things. And I'm with Frank. There's still, I think that there is essentially another Civil War in the books, without going into too much about this. But yeah, there's still so much left to do. And I think you're right in the sense of, like, the next big characters. And I think really, aside from Fantastic Four, X-Men's the big ones that people know about, that they're going to gear towards younger actors to really just, like, carry the MCU for the next, I don't know, as long as Avatar's going to be around.
Yeah. For the next 100 years.
Right, exactly. To the end of time. Get Cameron on that.
Time will all end, and somewhere Cameron's going to be like, okay, Sigourney, I want you to go over here. We're going to get the shot. There's 3 people left to watch these movies. We'll go ahead and make it. But
that's for the fan to decide. Yeah.
But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of the idea of Taron Egerton playing Logan / the Wolverine. I personally think it's a good idea. And like I said, they haven't made too many casting mistakes in the MCU, so I'm down if that happens. Lady Cora, what is the next story we'll be going into tonight?
Well, Marvel Studios has some devilish plans in store for Echo, the upcoming Disney Plus series currently filming in Atlanta. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, who portray classic Marvel comic characters Daredevil and the Kingpin, respectively, have joined the series. which stars Hawkeye breakout Aliqua Cox as Maya Lopez. The move is the latest sign of Marvel Studios' efforts to weave in popular characters from Netflix's now-defunct Marvel shows, such as Daredevil, into the fold. Sources say Echo will include a plotline in which Daredevil, whose alter ego is blind attorney Matt Murdock, is searching out a former ally. Frank, what do you think of Cox and D'Onofrio returning to the MCU and Echo?
To me, why wouldn't you? I mean, I know that Kevin Feige has this disdain for anything that Ike Perlmutter did when he was running the TV side of Marvel. I get it, because a lot of that, some of the stuff wasn't great. Some of it was freaking awesome. Some of it, though, just wasn't that good. It wasn't up to Marvel standards. But you have a tremendously popular character with Cox's version of Daredevil, a tremendously popular character with D'Onofrio's version of Kingpin. Why wouldn't you want to fold them in somehow? I mean, Daredevil was huge. I mean, that got well, not quite Stranger Things kind of viewership numbers, but that thing was big for Netflix, and they were probably pissed as hell when they lost that. But I mean, look, I don't think that you would have put Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock character in that one scene in No Way Home unless you had more plans for him. And that's exactly what I said when we were talking about this during the spoiler review. Is you don't do that unless you have some future plans. So, look, this is the future. He's obviously... Now, my question is, and a lot of people have said that he's not playing the same version. He's playing a variant of Matt Murdock. I don't buy that shit at all. I don't.
Nope.
Look, you can either use a couple pieces of dialogue to explain why guys like Foggy Bottom and the blonde girl whose name I don't even remember, although I really liked her in the show. You can use a couple pieces of dialogue to explain why they're not around, or you can just not talk about them at all and nobody's going to notice. So you can do this. You can bring him in. Now, the one thing that bothers me is I've heard that the one character that he's looking for is going to be Jessica Jones. That's a mistake. I
hate on Jessica Jones.
Look, don't get me wrong.
You mean it's not Elektra?
I like the Jessica Jones stuff. It was all right. It wasn't great. Not to mention the Jessica Jones stuff was almost softcore porn. I mean, it's like she has sex with a lot of people in that series. I haven't even watched the final season yet because they canceled it before it even hit Netflix. And so I was like, I started to watch part of the first episode. My stepdaughter walked in, and of course she was having sex with somebody. So I'm like, I think I'm going to watch this later. And I just never went back to it. Because it's hard for me to
Daddy's going to watch Stallone, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's hard to get into a character that I know I'm never going to see again. And I had no idea how the season ended. So as far as I know, it ended on a damn cliffhanger that I was never going to get a resolution to, which has happened to me a couple of times in my TV shows I like. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't like it. I personally think that it's probably going to be Jessica Jones. I don't know why. Because I'm thinking... If they really want to play the mutant angle, which is now not coming, it's now here, for those of you who watched, Miss Marvel, I have a feeling that maybe that they're going to play that she's a mutant, because the rest of the characters are out there. I mean, you've got who else can you bring in? You could bring in Nick Cage, which is a character that I actually kind of like that show a lot more than the people did. The second half of the second season was Luke Cage. I'm sorry, Luke Cage.
You want to bring Nicolas Cage in? Fine.
Yeah, Nick Cage. I'll bring Nick Cage in. Well, Tex was talking about Ghost Rider in the chat, so
yeah, he just rides in on his fucking bike.
But Luke Cage, I liked Luke Cage a lot more than a lot of people did. The second half of the last season wasn't that great. I didn't really like the ending, but I liked that a lot. Iron Fist was okay. Punisher, he's not really a superhero. I like him as more of a ground level kind of vigilante ass kicker. So
I'm totally fine with that.
So
bring back John Bernthal,
so yeah, who else are you really going to bring in? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really want Jessica Jones to come back into the fold. I just say leave her out there in her little corner of the Netflix universe, screwing everybody she can find and breaking people in half.
I was going to say sleeping with everybody in the MCU.
Yeah, let her do that. But I mean, whatever. I'm just glad to have Charlie Cox back and glad to have Vincent D'Onofrio back. They absolutely killed in those characters. And I love the fact, and for those of you who watched Hawkeye, he has a connection to Aliqua Cox's character of Echo. So I liked his connection to that. I think it's going to give him more depth instead of just being that big bald guy in the creamy white suit that just walks around and does terrible things to people. I like the fact that they're going to be here where they're going to have way more character development than they were getting from Netflix. And
Agreed.
hopefully, I hope this leads to another Daredevil standalone series or even a film. You could find some way to fold him into the larger MCU.
Well, I thought they confirmed another season. No?
Well,
I thought they confirmed a season of Daredevil. I could be wrong.
A lot of people thought that Echo was actually a front when they announced it. That Echo really was going to be a Daredevil season 4. But Disney came right out and were like, no, this is Echo. This is the character from Hawkeye. She's getting her own thing. It's not going to be Daredevil because of the similarities between the character having the sensory difference. Like she can't hear, she can't see. Because of that. So a lot of people, when the news came out that Cox was coming back to play Matt Murdock again, they were like, oh, that's all the proof you need that it's going to be a Daredevil series. No, it's not going to be a Daredevil series. It's going to be about Echo. He's going to have his thing. It's going to coexist with her storyline, which I like, because I didn't like the way she was used in Hawkeye. I thought she was a bit of a jobber, to use the wrestling term.
Agreed.
But I still liked her character, and I was thinking to myself, I want more of her. I feel like they should have put more focus on her. Like, she could have been the main bad guy and still kind of, like, gone off in the end the way she went off and, like, trying to find out her personal truth or whatever, however the hell it worked out. But I feel like she could have had more focus in that series. But I'm glad that she's getting her own series. I'm pretty happy. You're bringing in Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, which makes me happy. Keep going, MCU, and Feige I trust. I don't know. Connor, what do you think?
So, to kind of take it back a second, when Endgame ended, right, and Far From Home happened with the end of Phase 3, and then, like, Phase 4 is kind of in a disarray, and it's one thing that, you hear this all the time from the Marvel, from people, Phase 4 is all over the place. I'm not saying I love one thing or the other, but one thing that I gravitate towards from a story and a character perspective is, I guess, anything you would consider like, quote unquote, the street heroes. So your Hawkeye, your Falcon and Winter Soldier, those kind of level of like
someone
the heroes.
You can relate to?
Essentially.
Or that is like your life, or someone or someone you can respect
Widow.
a lot.
Basically, yeah, Black Widow to some extent, yeah. So I really liked those stories. Like, again, not that I hated like Doctor Strange or like the What If or Loki or anything like that, but the other ones like the Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye, I gravitated towards. So when Echo was announced, I'll be very honest, I was like, okay, like I wasn't like clamoring for it. But then when I watched Hawkeye, I got more invested, and then hearing this on top of it, it's like, you ever see that meme where the guy sees something and he like slams his debit card down on the table and just give me like shut up and take my money. That's kind of how I felt about it. I mean, D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are masters of those characters respectively. And I think that, like Frank said, why wouldn't you do that? And so adding them onto that, even if to spin those off, you got me hooked. I am hook, line, and sinker. Like, give me more of that. I want to see. I'm very curious where things go in that realm of the MCU, because that's the one I have the most interest in.
And I think it's also very smart that Kevin Feige is kind of listening to the fans in a way, because they have been screaming to bring Daredevil and Charlie Cox's Daredevil into this universe.
Right, and why wouldn't he at this point?
Yeah, Daredevil and Punisher were fantastic. They were by far the two best things that Netflix did with the Marvel properties.
Agreed.
Again, I don't think you can bring Punisher in here and have him fight somebody like Thanos. I don't think that really works out. I think there's a big power difference there, but Daredevil can at least play a part. He's got some special ability. So he could be a character like Black Widow or Hawkeye, not necessarily super powered, but somebody who can throw the weight around with all the fighting skills.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jeremy. What do you think? These guys coming back?
Well, remember what we said. It's been pointed out that every single battle that Hawkeye was in, the Avengers won. Every time he wasn't there, they lost. Facts are facts, man.
You're not wrong.
By the numbers.
If I'd have been there, damn it, he never would have snapped him off. I'd have went for the head. I'd have shot an arrow right at his
He would have aimed right for the fucking head. Damn it, Thor. You didn't drop the ball, you dropped the hammer or the axe. You missed.
Oh God. Well, technically he did drop the hammer, but anyway.
True. He's in this new movie he's having trouble getting it back.
Oh God.
I don't know. I turned that whole movie into a euphemism for you all, and you're welcome. No, I'm excited. That's why wouldn't you? I mean, like you said, why wouldn't you do this? And what reason would there be to not be excited? He's a very good lawyer, as he said.
Yeah, Cora, you've mostly caught up on all the Marvel stuff, at least the movie stuff. I don't know how much of the Netflix stuff that you watch, which is actually now on Disney+.
I haven't seen the Netflix, but I'm a big Daredevil fan. I love the movie with Ben Affleck, and then the subsequent movie with the spin-off with Elektra. I love the storyline. I like this guy who plays Matt, whatever his name is.
Matt
That
Murdock.
cameo he did in the Spider-Man movie was really good. I would love to see more of, Daredevil stuff, period. I intend to watch
I'm sure
the Daredevil
Daredevil
on
I'd like to
Netflix
see, too.
stuff. I'm going to finish Mandalorian season 1 and watch season 2 and then catch up and watch, Obi-Wan and all of that before I do that, but I would love to see more. So,
Well, you've probably got plenty of time because I think they just started filming this series actually in Atlanta. So I would imagine
cool.
it's not going to be out for at least a year.
What, Echo?
Yeah, the Echo series.
Yeah, I don't think it's out until 2024. I could be wrong.
That
I
might
could be wrong.
About right. That might be about right.
Yeah. But and you know what? Real quick, Frank, just on a side note, we were talking about Punisher for a little bit. I'm not sure if I said it with you or if it was on Horny Goat or whatever it was, but I said I would love to see Punisher introduced in the MCU as a result of the blip.
oh,
Because one thing that
the Forrest family's dead or after?
something from that, because I feel like the blip or the snap, whatever we want to call it, so far doesn't have a whole, I mean, obviously it has effects. We lost Downey Jr., damn it. But that's a pretty big deal. I feel like sometimes it's a little swept under the rug. And so I would just personally like to see that explored a little bit more, or at least the ramifications of that. And I think
I think
that might be a great way to.
We kind of saw it in WandaVision a little bit, and a little bit with Spider-Man.
Right. I'm not saying there was no ramifications whatsoever, but I just feel like
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I like the show so much, is because it actually oh yeah, what do you happen when you have half the people just come back after 5 years? Huh.
Yeah, right?
Like, you don't really sit and think about that for a minute. And so it just personal, just fan theory out there, fan wishing out there. I would love it if the Punisher was somehow tied in, or his origin story was somehow tied into the blip. Just personal note.
I personally think they're not going to do that. However they bring him in,
they won't.
I think they're done with anything related to the Infinity Stones. Because,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're just paperweights at this point.
Yeah, they used. I think that's one of the reasons why they had that scene. Is they're like, this is it. This is why we're doing the Infinity Stones.
That hurts. But if you
think about it, WandaVision dealt with the grief of all that stuff that happened. Falcon and Winter Soldier dealt with some of the political and logistical fallout of everybody coming back, which is approaching the aftermath from a very different angle. So I feel like they've done everything they can with the aftermath of the snap. So now they're moving on. Like I said, Jeremy, I think that one of the reasons they had that scene where he's talking about the stones just being paperweights is that was their way of saying, guys, we're done with the Infinity Stones. These are not important to us. These are not a part of the MCU anymore.
Are you talking about the scene? Are you talking about the scene in Loki?
In Loki, yes.
Yeah.
That's
why I love they took that meme with Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. And they're like, so you're telling me the Infinity Saga was just bullshit? I'm like, yeah, that does kind of feel cheap. Then I'm like, what the hell do we do for the last 10 goddamn years? I get it, but it feels like a pretty. I mean, I see Thanos with his gauntlet giving us a big middle finger. Like, yeah, that didn't matter. I'm like, thanks for the ride, I guess. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, this is my own. This is just my own. No, I understand too. I understand on both fronts. I'm just saying is that it would be nice. It would be interesting to if it's one thing if they blew off the Infinity Saga with a giant fight with Thanos or something that wasn't as cataclysmic as half of existence across the entire universe being just gone. And
if now we're getting the Eternals and maybe some of the world destroyers like Galactus, I'm like, okay, fine. There's something a little bit bigger out here than just Thanos,
which I'm fine with. But I'm just saying is that if they did a straight battle with Thanos or something I hate to say it, by the numbers, and then okay, you still have the ramifications of Tony being gone or Cap being gone or whatever, fine. But half of life was gone for the entire universe for 5 years. I just feel like there could be so many creative developments just from something as simple and yet complex as that happening. We've seen it in a couple of the other shows, and just I think that there's opportunities that you could introduce, maybe not even introduce, but have certain things with certain characters have ramifications from that going into this new phase.
But just that, I mean, it's when you put that into context with the line that Captain Marvel said when she's like, they're kind of like, where the hell were you at? And she's like, it's a big universe out there, and they all don't have you guys. Like, they don't have the
Right.
Avengers. I'm like, yeah, shit. What were you doing out there? Like, who did you run into and try to help out? Like, they probably only had you,
A
or God
barber.
knows who else. Yeah, like,
Just out getting a new haircut.
yeah, she was. That's really what she came back with, and then
She was getting a blowout.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Hey, if she was gonna go toe to tail with Thanos, you can't have them locks waving around,
Like, if I'm gonna
So.
save the universe, damn it, I gotta look good.
Right. Hey.
I can't just roll
Like
and
that,
do
like
shit.
Like that behind the scenes thing where she's up on the green screen of the wire. She's like, "Does it look cool? It doesn't feel cool, but as long as it looks cool." I'm like, right. Right.
Yeah, but definitely go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio will be returning to the MCU as Daredevil and the Kingpin. I am personally very, very excited about this. I love these characters. I'm really excited to see how Kevin Feige is going to fold them in to the larger MCU. Even if they do just make them Disney Plus stuff, that series stuff, that's fine. I'm totally happy with that. As long as we get more of this stuff. And let us know what you guys think about the possibility of bringing some of the other Marvel Netflix characters in. I think there's room for all of them in some way, shape, or form. I just don't think they're all that likely. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think.
There's not enough room on Jessica Jones's bed.
There's not enough room in Jessica Jones' bed for all the Avengers. But you know what, though? This is a good lead into what we're going to talk about next. She could get invited to the orgy. Wouldn't Chad be the perfect character to invite to the orgy?
Oh my god! Can you imagine?
Before
Her of all people, yes, they picked her.
Before going forward, though, I do want to say thank you to John Elite 45 for life. He just subscribed a few minutes ago. I didn't want to ignore you. I don't know why the thing didn't pop up on the screen, but thank you very much for subscribing. We hope that you like what you see. And don't forget, once we get to 500 subscribers, we'll be doing a charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. That's when we get to 500. We're coming up on, I think 490 is where we're at right now. We're coming up on, or 390, I'm sorry, 390. We're coming up on
I was like,
400.
damn, what happened?
Hey, I paid for a lot of subs. Gotta do something with my money after all.
Yeah.
So
boy.
close, so close.
We're at 390 now. We're coming close to 400, but 500 is where we want to be so that we can do that charity stream. And don't forget to support us on Patreon, because I keep forgetting to hook up the damn Patreon to give away. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give away 2 next week because I keep forgetting to set it up on the stream. And I had a busy day today and didn't get around to it. But if you support us on Patreon for just $5 a month, you get a chance to win $25 a month and free movie tickets. Now, the reason we do this is not to pour more box office money into the pockets of film producers. This is really just to go help the theaters. The theaters are back. They're at full strength. Full slate of movie releases now. Full slate of movie production. So get back to the movie theater. Help support those people that work at the box office, that work at the concession stand, that were so very badly devastated by really a year and a half or 2 years almost of theater closures because of the pandemic. So that's what we kind of hope to do, just to give you a thanks for supporting us and maybe get you guys some free movie tickets. So there's a link on the screen if you want to support us for just $5 a month. And now to the main event. And Lady Cora, what's our main event tonight?
All right. Thunder has struck at the theaters. Thor: Love and Thunder hit screens everywhere this last weekend and has helped jolt a rebounding theater industry. Marvel's latest film, starring Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman as the Gods of Thunder, opened to a solid $144 million in North America, including a strong $29 million on Thursday night. The film currently holds a 67 out of 80 critic audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, with a consensus critic review that reads, quote, "In some ways, Thor: Love and Thunder feels like Ragnarok Redux. But overall, it offers enough fast-paced fun to make this a worthy addition to the MCU," end quote. The conscientious audience review reads a lot the same, saying, quote, "Even though Thor: Love and Thunder's constant silliness makes it hard to invest in the more serious side of the story, there's still plenty here to enjoy," end quote. Before I pass it up to Connor to talk about what he thinks about it, I'm going to say goodnight, gentlemen. I'm still getting over being sick, and my body's telling me I need to rest. So,
well, thank you very much, Lady Cora, for coming to hang out with us tonight. Before you leave, where can the folks find you on the internet?
All right. Night, Cora.
so happy you guys.
And it looks like we're back, everybody. Thank you for hanging out through all that technical difficulties, which is fucking terrible. But hey, I don't have $7,000 to spend on a mighty fucking broadcast computer like some other people do, so I make do with what I got. But a good thing it didn't happen right in the middle of us talking about Thor, and that would have sucked. It actually happened right in the beginning, so we can just blow through for the next 45 minutes or an hour and talking about how much we liked or didn't like this movie. And, Cora just read the intro. I mean, Thor is in theaters now. It made $29 million on its opening on Thursday, $144 million in the opening weekend here in North America, which is not bad. Connor, I'll go to you first. I mean, what are some of your thoughts about Thor: Love and Thunder?
So I'm afraid to speak because the last time I spoke and started speaking positively about this movie, the entire stream crashed. So I'm a little worried about that.
Well, there's his review.
Yeah, this is going to be my hill to die on. I really enjoyed this movie, and like I was saying before, everything tanked, and I know I'm probably going to be in the minority here. I don't care. I really enjoyed this movie. I obviously see I'm not blind to the problems of the movie. I'm not saying that this is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There is a lot of comedy in this one, and not all of it lands. I will be the first one to admit that. But the thing that I like is that Taika Waititi leaning in from the successes of Ragnarok, I think is both a positive and a negative. But for me personally, I think that this is taking things in a certain direction with the realm of Thor and the area that they're working with in the MCU in a way that I'm open to seeing where it goes. Specifically, the big things I want to point out to that I really particularly like, just for me personally, all comedy and goofiness aside, was gore. Christian Bale knocked it out of the park in every sense of the word. Yes. With that role. I think every one of his scenes, with the exception of one scene, which I'm not saying I hated, but every scene with him, I loved. Every single scene with him I loved, except for one, which I was like, but not even that's nitpicking. I also love that, to relatively the best of his abilities, Taika wrapped up the Thor Jane Foster story, which again wasn't perfect, but gave closure to a part of Thor that just kind of flew over our heads for a little bit with Endgame and everything that happened with Ragnarok, and didn't really close it. I really thought this was a solid movie. It's actually one of my, I'd say within my top 5 for me personally. And I know that, again, I'm in the minority here, but damn it, this is my hill to die on, and I don't care if the stream crashes again.
I said what I said.
I'm just kidding. I don't want it to crash.
Me neither. Jeremy, what about you? Some quick thoughts on what you thought about Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I had time to come back from the TVA. On that downtime. See how fast that was?
Yeah. Impressive.
Well, what do I think? I did not hate this movie, but I did not think it was great. I'll run halfway up that hill. I'm kind of park it there, base camp. I was worried that it was again gonna. I mean, I read Frank Stein back there. I prefer Fat Thor over Crybaby Thor. I didn't necessarily think. I was worried that it was gonna be trying to be too goofy like Ragnarok, but it kind of wasn't. It wasn't really. It wasn't that, and I kind of appreciated that. But I'm it still was kind of funny. My only problems is it's not like it's hard to take him seriously. But I'm when you're trying to give a rousing speech and then he goes into I know he kind of faux pas and talked about eating children. I'm okay, that wasn't really funny, but okay. We'll be back. That was that one scene. Yeah. That was that one scene of gore I wasn't really huge on. Yeah. Yeah. He's we'll be back and we'll feast with children, not on the children. We don't do that. I'm okay, all right. It's every time he just tries it, I'm I just know it's he's just gonna fumble and be goofy. I'm I can't. You can't sit there and try to rouse me up, Thor, to go into battle if you just keep screwing everything up. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, and I've said this a bunch of times, the weakest part of the MCU has been Thor, the standalone Thor movies. Not that they haven't been good. They've been watchable. They've been enjoyable, even this one. But to me, Kenneth Branagh made the best Thor movie in the first one. And I didn't like that movie much at first, but it grew on me over the years. Because he is one of those guys that likes the mythology of it all. I mean, he really dove into what Thor as the god of thunder to the the Nordic stuff. He brought more of that stuff in. Second movie, not nearly as good, but it at least still tried to stick to the mythology of what exists in Thor's world, the kind of enemies that he would fight. Then in comes Taika Waititi. He makes it all a big fucking joke. Now, it's not that I don't like the humor, but there is a drastic difference between the first two Thor movies and Ragnarok and this movie. These movies are all humor. They're comedies. I don't necessarily hate that, but you have this very rich, full character that you can really examine and grow into some cool shit. And it seems like the last two movies, they get to the point where they're like relying on some good dialogue. You had that scene like where Odin kind of passes away and dissolves into stars and stuff like that, and it's always ruined by them forcing some humor in there. And it's just that doesn't work for me. Look, I like Taika Waititi as a filmmaker, but this comedy shit's got to stop. You've completely neutered Thor almost as bad as the Russo brothers neutered the Hulk, and that's a problem. I can't. Thor is not the best character in his own movie. Seriously, like I think Jane's a better character in this movie. I think Gore steals this movie, and he's not in this movie nearly enough.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
I was rooting for Jane more than I was for Thor at one point. I was kind of like, They've made Thor a joke. I mentioned it earlier as a jobber, kind of in wrestling. I don't even think he's that anymore. It's like he goes up there. It's like the whole thing in the beginning of the movie where he's fighting with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's just like sitting in there, I don't know, whatever the hell he was doing in the ship, while the Guardians are out there getting into a big gunfight with this whole army of people. And he just walks out there like an idiot and stands up on the rock in the middle of all the gunfire. And of course, no gunfire's hitting him, but that's a movie thing, a movie trope. And
right.
Then he one swipe of Stormbreaker, and this whole fucking castle falls to the ground, and all the bad guys are dead.
He's the football jock.
Let him fight. He is a warrior. He is the god of thunder. He is the leader of some of the greatest armies that have ever existed in any realm. And he goes up there and in one swing of Stormbreaker wipes out an entire army? Let him fight. That's what he does. And then half the time he spends crying over stupid shit. Like, there was a lot of... I liked the humor that was in the whole flashback of, like, his and Jane's relationship when they were sitting on the couch watching movies and stuff like that and all that. I liked that. But I was like, that would have fit so much better if you would have actually made him a warrior for the rest of the movie. He's a puss. He's a giant crybaby in this movie. And it's disappointing. I mean, like I said, he was the third best character in his own movie, and that is a real big problem for me. He's supposed to be the star. I don't know why... I don't know. For one, I don't know why I've had it on Jeremy this whole time. I don't know why.
I'm wondering why we're just staring at me. I'm like, all right, well.
Listen, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't know why.
Changed for you people, jeez.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they dumb him down so much.
I think they do. I think, and this is maybe I'm completely in the wrong here. I could be. Not the first time, won't be the last. If you think about Thor's character, right? Like now. He's like a football jock where he's strong, he's dumb to an extent. Let's not sugarcoat it, but he's still got the good heart. I can't really think, other than Star-Lord, I can't think of any other character like that in the MCU right now. I personally can't. So maybe he was trying to lean in more to that. You're right. I'm not denying that it's a vast deviation, but maybe with the end credit scene of what they're teasing for the future, it might be able to focus back more on Thor.
Say Thor will return,
hoping.
So maybe it'll be a little bit better.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing necessarily with what you guys are saying as far as like Thor not being the best part of it, or the focal point for the real part, and that they've changed him dramatically. You're hitting the nail on the head with that one. I don't necessarily see it as all bad, though. I think they're trying
to have fun with the movie. I'm just like, it wasn't really
right. No, and like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I also can glaringly see that going in such a vast direction, both just like the comedy aspect of it, but also the character itself. It's gonna go in both directions. Like people who love it and people who hate it, and I get that 100%.
So
I still think
we can change the title to Thor: Love and Hate.
That should be a good idea.
Somebody get on the editing.
Yeah, quick now, hurry. I'm sure the internet probably already has done that at this point in time.
I hope so.
If they haven't already. That's the way I looked at it. Was that like, yeah, okay, they're making Thor into a bit of a brood and be like kind of a meathead, but in the bigger grand scheme of things, I think they're trying to make him a differentiating character in the MCU. I mean, yes, he was a little bit different because of course, him being like a Norse god and everything like that, and the warrior, like Frank said. But clearly, they're going a different route with this because Asgard's. I mean, let's face it, Asgard's pretty much all but, relatively gone with the exception of the kids and everything. I mean, yes, they could reference back to those, but I don't really mind the change, especially where it looks like they're trying to push him away from the Asgard part of it. I mean, they're clearly going back to some of the mythology from what we saw from the
Greek
what was it, the
gods,
omnipotent, the omnipotent city. And
I
all
didn't
that
even
stuff.
like that. That to me was terrible.
I was kind of waiting to see what we're going to do with this Russell Crowe thing. I was like, I was a little
absolutely cheesy. I mean,
I was a little bit annoyed almost. I was like, I understand that's how Zeus is, but I'm like, I get it. You're having an orgy, man. You don't have to repeat it every. I get it.
Well, here's
okay, I get it. Like, okay, man.
Here's the part that's hard for me to stomach. It's hard for me to reconcile in my head. You spent the first two movies showing Thor's personal growth. Remember, going back to the very first movie, the whole reason why Odin did what he did, he whispered that incantation of the hammer and threw it over to Earth and banished Thor until he figured out what the hell he was doing with his life. The whole reason was that he needed to grow into the kind of warrior that he needed to be to really accomplish his ends. Odin knew at that point he needed to kick in the ass. So the first two movies deal with that kind of stuff. Ragnarok is just a big damn joke. Now, I mean, I don't have a problem with what happened in Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard, so on and so on, Hela and all that stuff. I mean, I get it. But ever since then, he has been the exact opposite of what Odin wanted him to become.
That's part of his journey, though.
Yeah, but his journey wasn't to be a soft-ass crying little pussy.
No, but
he cries 3 or 4 times over the course of this fucking movie. I'm like, you're not a warrior, bro. You've got to be able to look at these. Yeah, if you're a warrior, you've got to look at these things and be emotionally affected, but still move forward in a way that a warrior would move forward and not freak out. Now, it's one thing when Jane dies. Spoiler alert. Again, spoilers. It's one thing when Jane dies. I get it. It's one thing when Jane dies. I get it. In that moment, it makes sense to me. But it's like he's such a. I don't want to throw the term snowflake out there because I don't think it's quite fitting. But he is kind of.
But I get you where
he is kind of a pansy for most of this movie.
Softy. Yeah.
See, like, when I saw him go like Super Saiyan in Ragnarok on the bridge, I was like, oh, here it goes. And then I'm like, oh, we're never going to see that again, are we? Okay. Oh.
But that was kind of the whole like shakeup of Ragnarok, was the sense that like he was destined to do X, Y, and Z. He was destined to do this, destined to that, and then Ragnarok just completely wiped the table clean. It's like, well, now what are you going to do? You had all these plans of this thing. You'd think you knew who you were. You think you knew what you were going to be, and now the table's cleared. So now what? You have to, actually, it was more so Endgame, obviously, and Infinity War that kind of really cemented this of like, hey, half of your friends are dead. Your best friend's dead. Your mom's dead. Your dad's dead. Your brother's dead. Like, went through a lot. I mean, Frank, we talked about this on the round table, how he had like, in my opinion, he's got the best character development out of everybody else from the Avengers movies.
A little better than Wanda did. I'm like, Wanda lost fucking everything still. Even after.
Afterward.
I'm being like, even after all this was all said and done, and everybody got snapped back, I'm like, she still didn't get anything out of this. She still lost everyone. And she handled it a little differently than Thor does, having lost, again, pretty much...
enslaving a town.
Mind controlling them and red woobly woos.
Teach their own. Some people do wine and ice cream. Some people mind control. But
he sits there and plays PS4 and just drinks all day, and she's just enslaving people. That's fine.
But that's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of like the story and the differentiation of the characters, because it's the telling of like, hey, this is your destiny. This is what you're supposed to do. Well, okay, now shit's going completely in a different direction than you expected. How are you supposed to react to it? How do you deal with this? And how do you deal with all these things? That's kind of what the first trailer is like. I need to find out who I am and all that stuff. And so that's kind of where that was the way I interpreted it.
He
anyway.
doesn't stop being a warrior though, and it seems to me like Taika Waititi is making him less and less a warrior, and more a side character.
I think the kids fought more in this movie than he did.
That's another scene that I kind of like giggled at it and thought it was cool when I first watched it, but in the couple days since I've been kind of like, I don't know if I dig the scene anymore. I mean, I'm not thinking too hard on it, but like the whole thing about him giving the kids the power of Thor, I was like, couldn't you have done that to all the people in Asgard when Hela was wrecking the place, or when Ragnarok was ripping Asgard in half, or when all those people in the town, like in this movie, were fighting those shadow demons? Like, you couldn't have given them the power of Thor, and maybe that'd fight a little bit easier.
Because the movie has to happen.
Well, and then his ex-girlfriend and his ex-hammer came back and kind of stopped him. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
But enough about what I don't like about the movie.
We had stuff we liked. Okay,
we had to pull the Band-Aid off,
and there is stuff that I like. Look, again, superhero relationships can be stupid. The only one in the MCU that's really worked for me is Tony and Pepper, because while Tony is the superhero and Pepper is the assistant, eventually the wife, let's face it, Pepper has always run their relationship. I mean, from the very beginning, from Iron Man 1, you know for a fact that Tony cannot tie his own damn shoes. He would fall apart if somebody like Pepper wasn't there to put everything in place for him to just be brilliant the way he is brilliant. But, I mean, the Jane Thor thing never really fit. I think they knew that, which is why she was absent for the vast majority of the MCU, and they explained her away with little pieces of dialogue, like, oh yeah, she's in Prague getting a Nobel Prize for fucking astronomy or some shit like that. And it's just those little pieces of dialogue. It's like, yeah, she's still here, we're still cool, but, she's just not here for this stuff, so just whatever. But working her back in like this, I thought was actually really cool. And again, I think she was a better character. She's more sympathetic. They did, and I was wondering exactly how they would approach it, but they did use the comic book storyline of her developing cancer, and for whatever reason, I actually really like how they explained it in the movie, that Mjolnir goes to her or calls to her so that Mjolnir can protect her. And one of my favorite scenes actually is when, in that flashback of their relationship, like she's asleep on his chest or something, and he says, "Promise me to always protect her." And you see that little sign kind of start to glow, like, oh, okay, Thor just told me to make sure she's always protected. And I thought it was cool that even though Mjolnir had been destroyed, taken apart by Hela, and was a display piece in Asgard now, that it was even still sentient and still was like, okay, I know something's wrong with Jane. I have to call Jane here so that I can reassemble myself and protect her. I thought that was actually a really cool way of doing things. I mean, Connor, what do you think of the whole cancer storyline?
Those were honestly the way they handled Jane completely, combined with Gore, were my two favorite parts or two favorite aspects of the entire movie. To be very honest with you, I was curious too, because of course the like you said, as far as were they going to go that direction with Jane Foster getting cancer, but I think that as much as Taika Waititi's known for the goofiness and the comedy, like we were just mentioning, the fact that he was able to essentially tie up the Jane Foster relationship and close a lot of, and close it up. I think he knocked it out of the park, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I chuckled. I don't know about you. I chuckled about the whole, like, him not getting over Mjolnir either. I particularly, my favorite one was when he's trying to call Mjolnir and then Stormbreaker just like slowly comes around. Oh, Stormbreaker. There you are. But no, I think that you're right. It was a much more sympathetic character. It was more relatable. I did love the dichotomy of every time she transformed. I mean, every time she transformed into Mighty Thor, she was zapping more and more of her strength. So it's like, if you do it again, you'll die. So, yeah, I have nothing really to complain about. I mean, it does seem a little like the awkwardness at the beginning was a little like when they were like first meeting again, which I don't know if you guys caught this, when he's like, how long has it been? 4 or 5, 6 years? He's like 8 years, blah, blah, blah. Because she was blipped. That's why she didn't know like the time frame, because she's actually blipped away. They actually showcased that in Infinity War. But imagine that, being blipped and then coming back to still getting cancer. But no, yeah. I have no, I mean, aside from like the awkwardness of the conversations, the beginning aspect of them, like getting back to like, being together, other than that, loved everything about it. Can't really complain.
Yeah, another thing that I really liked about this movie was this is one of the best villains that Marvel has put
I was
out
gonna
for
say,
a
if you
while.
want me to take
Top five.
take
Top
that
five.
route, I'm like, let's talk about Christian Bale for a second.
Yeah, this is
Holy
one
crap.
of the look, like I said, Gore
It scared me a little bit.
Yeah, Christian Bale steals almost every scene that he's in.
You know this man had fun with it. You could tell, like, his little laughs, his little quirks, and but then he just goes dark, and I'm like,
Yeah,
God.
I'll be honest. I got like emotional at the very beginning. The very, very beginning. I'm like, we haven't even seen the freaking Marvel Studios logo yet. What the hell's going on?
They're already making sympathetic pushes towards his character. I'm like, okay, all right, I see his reason.
Yeah, but he to me, he's not quite as good as Thanos. I put him up there with Loki. I think he's got to be a top 3 villain in the MCU. He's
Thank you.
Look, there's something about the way that Christian Bale does things. He doesn't just
the method
he doesn't
actor.
just go out there and play a role. He's not like all the way method, but he is somebody who definitely tries to get into the head of his character.
Yeah.
And that whole opening montage of him with his daughter in the desert, I was sucked into his character from the jump. Like
Same.
there was no way that you could not immediately get on this guy's side and already understand. I mean, I know that he starts killing gods. I know he's the villain, the bad guy, and we need Thor to beat him. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, this is some great depth of character. This is the most depth we've gotten in any villain since Thanos. It's like I think there's more depth in him in this one movie than we've gotten out of how many movies of Loki. Loki's more enjoyable, and I think he's probably a better villain to the overall MCU, of course. But I mean, this guy
he's more charming.
So much depth.
Yeah,
More charming, that's true.
Oh,
But,
that
I mean,
glorious purpose.
yeah, but I mean, you get really, really quickly what this guy's about, and he is just damn good. And also it's because honestly, how many of us haven't been in that kind of frame of mind? There is a loss, and we're just kind of like, Jesus Christ! In your head, you're like, I wish I could just do away with all of this stuff that's causing me chaos right now. I wish I could.
Yeah, if I picked up some big necromancy blade, I'd be like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh,
there's only.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say the only 2 minor nitpicks I have about Gore, and they're very minor, is one, I feel like he was obviously like the introduction was quick, which I get it. It had to be because you had to set up everything relatively quickly. I mean, I kind of wish there was a little bit more about like what happened with this planet, how things came to be, or with the wasteland and everything like that. Again, I'm nitpicking here. And the other was really wish I could have seen him kill more gods on camera. Other than that, loved everything about it.
Yeah,
but that is the nice part about. God, you were next. That's true.
Well, it's like, wouldn't it have been so much better to actually see him roll into the one place where Zeus and everybody was, and for there to be a big battle there? Oh
God!
I mean, because it was interesting to watch, like Thor and his friends all fight the other gods, and the gold blood being spilled all over the place. But wouldn't it have been so much better to establish just how far gone this guy is, for him to show up in the middle of them trying to ask for help and defeating him, and just a wreck shop? Like one god after
going there.
Yeah, because even
maybe
Zeus says,
they're not even kill all of them, just some of them.
Yeah, because even Zeus says, "Oh, he's killing lower level gods. He really cares." It's like, you care. It's like, you're Zeus. You're the god of gods, for Christ's sake, and you're just like, he's killing low level gods. I'm not worried about him. He can't come here. Well, until he does and starts killing.
I did like though that Zeus like kind of leaned into Thor. It was like, of course I'm freaking terrified of him, but we're not gonna, like acknowledge the actual like threat of this being a thing. Despite his performance as Zeus or otherwise, I did like that aspect of like, no, he's full of crap, like the actual Zeus. So
I was like, he can't keep it in his pants, and he's kind of just, I somewhat
accurate to the mythology. So I mean,
really is.
Kudos there. Yeah.
Well, I didn't like Zeus.
I was a little annoyed by it, but I was like, yeah, but I was trying to think in my mind. I'm like, but Zeus is kind of just that way. I mean, I wasn't well, I know we're going to spoil the mid-credit scene yet, but I was like, I wasn't expecting like the cartoon version from Hercules. I'm like, no, but I'm like, I know because I've looked into that. We did a Greek mythology in school, and I'm like, oh my God, Zeus is a terrible person.
I'm a huge fan of like Egyptian, Greek, and Roman mythology. So seeing that was like, yay. Yeah. But I kind of get it. And I'll be honest, if we didn't get what we got in the mid-credit scene, I wouldn't be as torn. Because it's like, okay, cool. He is what he is. Boom, done. Okay, cool. Which honestly I thought would have been 10 times more hilarious. But
I was also waiting for him just once. I'm like, come on, was he not just gonna be like, "Are you not entertained?"
yeah, I know. I was kind of waiting for that. I did love I did love the little like with him like holding his like the skirt or whatever, just kind of like coming down the stairs because it's pretentious as hell, and that's the point. So I mean, I know Frank's groaning.
He's crawling out of his chair. Like,
I'm torn.
Well, here, look, I think like you could have played Zeus a lot better, and I don't know if this was Russell Crowe's idea to do it like this or if it was Taika Waititi's. I'm willing to bet it was Taika Waititi's, but it's like
an Italian.
Yeah, he sounded
right.
he sounded to me like some Italian deli worker who makes his employees sleep with him to keep their job. That's it. He was
not far off from Zeus.
Yeah, really.
But that's the thing is like Zeus can still be a badass and a douchebag. This guy was just a douchebag from New Jersey. I don't know what the fuck this whole caricature of Zeus was, because Zeus can still walk around and very arrogantly be like, "I'm not afraid of fucking Gore the God Butcher. He can't come here anyway," and still walk around and like have this aura of a god. But it's like this guy, he was like a Vegas lounge singer. I mean, he was just so pathetic. And again, I don't know if it was Russell Crowe's idea or Taika Waititi's. Again, it was probably Taika Waititi's. But I mean, it just wasn't. It was a caricature. It was a cartoon character. I really feel like you could have played him with a bit more balls, a bit more bravery, a bit more gusto, and still had lines like "You can't come to the orgy," or lines like, "Of course," have him lean in and say, "Of course I'm afraid of Gore, but I can't show that to these people, and we're going to figure out some way to deal with him." You could have still done that without making him look so terribly stupid.
I think that if we saw Zeus in other methods, or he was responsible for other things that kind of could build, because I think the idea that they were trying to go for was like Thor is obviously like hyping up Zeus, like Zeus is the man, like obviously I take after him, and so he was like pushing him up on this pedestal, and then when we get there,
is this like the don't meet your idols, just maybe don't meet your gods?
Right. So I get where Frank's coming from in that aspect. I'm not disagreeing. I think that would have helped that as if we heard more things about like he did this, or maybe Zeus was the one who, you know, got rid of the Necrosword the last time, or you know what I mean, like something to treat him more seriously, so that you could take the comedic aspect of it with a little bit more, like, with, you know, take it a little bit more with a balance. I kind of see where you're coming at with that.
I heard John
Campia
say that he thought this movie was like 80 or 85% comedy and like, you know, 15% serious, when it should have been more like 60-40 or 65, you know, 35, whatever. They should have leaned a little more to that, so that way one can accent the other. Because look, comedy works in all kinds of genres of movie. Even horror movies have funny little lines to kind of give you that moment of levity before something serious happens. So when that serious thing happens, it feels more serious.
Right.
It accentuates that.
Yep.
It seems like the last two movies are all just one big joke, and you can't take those serious moments seriously enough.
We got more out of Zeus in the fucking mid-credit scene than the whole scene we even saw him in the movie, honestly. And you can't tell me that wasn't like the moment where he kind of had like his little dark moment, like, all right, well, I'm gonna have my my half-god son go kick your ass now. I'm like, okay, that was the cataclysm for that.
And that was the other thing. Zeus was supposed to be the god of gods. I mean, if there is a totem pole of gods, this guy's at the top of it. It didn't take Thor much, who apparently is not a high-level god, if you hear the way Zeus talks, to take his own damn lightning bolt and to put it through his heart.
I kind of felt like when they said, "Oh, you killed Zeus," I'm like, "Did he though?" I feel like that wasn't it. And then luckily they came back and was like, "No, he didn't die." I'm like, I didn't think so. What the hell?
It's really like the whole of them, like, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because now it's funny because I thought with Ragnarok they were going to go completely, like kind of Frank was talking about earlier, like away from the mythology of everything, which, okay, all right, I fine, maybe not, you know, agree or otherwise, okay, I see where you're going with this. And then they almost like steer it right back into it with Love and Thunder, with the whole omnipotent city, which is like, okay,
we're swerving on the road, guys. Let's pick a lane.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of one thing I did tilt my head at with a little bit with this. It's like, yeah, okay, I can buy the Thunderbolt, you know, the Thunderbolt thing with Thor catching it, but yeah, when he like killed Zeus, it's like, what the, like, what? okay. I mean, is that showing more the power of the Thunderbolt, the power of Thor, or the nerfing of Zeus? I can't tell. And yeah, why would he send Hercules? Why wouldn't he just do it himself? It's a little.
I don't know.
I mean, hard to breathe. I don't know. But
Doesn't have his, either.
I'm still intrigued by the idea of Hercules versus Thor.
And that's that comic books too.
Right, that's why I'm like that could be interesting enough. But the idea of the splitting of the comedy aspect, I do agree that I feel like I would say it's more 70-30 because I think Gore is the primary, and then the relationship stuff is also a little bit heavy. But I do agree that it should have been pushed a little bit more to the serious side because I think, and this is just me, the takeaways, like when you try to remember the things from the movie and the memorable parts, unfortunately, sometimes they're not always good. it's the forced comedy aspect of it. I think that's more of the like embedded feeling from it. I mean, maybe that's just me, and I think maybe that's the thing that hurts the movie the most is that like as great as those heavy scenes were, they weren't as heavy as they could have been and been more of an impact on the overall like takeaway from the movie when you leave the theater.
I think the only thing I really felt like really felt anything was like when that last bit when she's in the hospital bed and he's telling her, I'm like, now see that I genuinely believe and feel that he's scared that like, yeah, if you do this again, it's gonna kill you. And like I'd rather you be safe and rather you do this. And I get Jane, I'm like, she's not just gonna sit down and I was like, Queen Amidala's not gonna sit down and just do nothing, damn it.
Did you hear what Taika Waititi said to her at the premiere?
Something like he forgot she was in fucking Star Wars or something.
Well, because Taika Waititi's working on a Star Wars project.
And he's like, you should be in it.
And he looked at her and he's like, have you ever thought about being in a Star Wars movie? And she goes, I was in a Star Wars movie.
I'm like, are you joking or are you actually serious, dude? Like, did you forget who the hell she was?
Oh, goodness.
Go ask Keira Knightley. Maybe she'll do it because, haha, she was also Queen Amidala. Whatever.
Yeah, but even the fans tend to agree with me. It's like, I'll go back to that consensus audience review that Cora read earlier. So even though Thor Love and Thunder's consistent silliness makes it hard to invest in the more serious side of the story, there's still plenty to enjoy. So, I mean, even the bomb drop fan review says you guys need to get back to the mythology, the serious stuff, and let the jokes accentuate the serious stuff, and not just have it all be like one big joke.
But even the bomb drop of the title, they're like, oh yeah, it's Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm like, oh, that's what that was? Yep. Oh, it was the girl? Okay.
That's her name.
I was kind of sitting there with a confused look on my face like, that was what that was? Now what are we doing? Huh?
Well, up until you see the movie, you don't know. I mean, the way that ends with Gore's daughter is you think that Love and Thunder talks mostly a reference to Thor and Jane.
I thought it was just like because in the air time I saw him, he was in like
the movie, and you're like, oh, that's what Love and Thunder means.
I thought it was just like an '80s reference because he looked like he was out there in his little fucking like leather jacket vest and crap and
right.
I was like, and it was heavy on the fucking '80s music. I was like, I'm not mad, but. What?
By the way, soundtrack, amazing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Just need to say that. Like, if I'm gonna defend anything, if I can successfully defend anything,
you're on the hill already. It's all
right. But what's interesting is that like, and I don't know if you guys caught this with Ragnarok, but Ragnarok's song that they used was Immigrant Song, which was, of course, if you look at the lyrics, was talking about like, people leaving and the destruction of, like the end of like one world, which is obviously a reference to the end of Asgard as it was. Mm-hmm. Sweet Child of Mine was, as we found out, obviously going to be a reference to love. So it's interesting that
a lot of Guns N' Roses in this one, which I'm not mad.
Yeah, hey, I'm all for. But my point is that Taika Waititi is very good, or whoever it is, at giving us foreshadowing without even knowing it sometimes.
Or maybe he knows it. I don't think the MCU does a lot by accident. I'm pretty sure that once you go back and watch the movies like a year or so later after some other stuff has come out, you go back and watch them like, oh, okay. I see what they were trying to tell me there. That went totally
son of a bitch.
Yeah. Son of a bitch, you got me.
We're also like Tony Stark. You thought we didn't notice, but we did.
Did you guys see some of the gods that were there, though?
I tried to go back and look through the
dumpling god. I was like, what the fuck? Really?
Did you see? Yeah, the dumpling god I thought was dumb. But did you see the?
It was just for the cute factor. I know it is. Damn it! I know what it was for.
The rock guy, Korg. Korg's god was there. Did you see that he was made of rocks and he was sitting on a throne made of scissors? because Rock beats Scissor.
And
I didn't catch
wasn't
that.
the joke at the end when he said he finally found his person, and it was Dwayne. I'm like, is it Dwayne the Rock? Really?
Yeah.
That's
Like, was that?
That makes perfect sense.
That had to be that damn
I think he had
joke.
a fanny pack. I think he had a fanny pack too. But like, how about the reference of like, oh, there's the carpenter.
Yeah, I got that one too. Some carpenter guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you see that the god Bast was there? The one that they worship in Wakanda.
Yes.
Bast was sitting right in front of where Jane and Valkyrie were sitting. Like on that level down from her was Bast. Which I thought was kind of cool. Because I saw that still a long time ago, and I was like, I wonder if we actually get to see Bast. Like if that character is actually going to be significant, and at least this scene, like somebody that has some dialogue, maybe has a conversation with either Thor, Jane, or Valkyrie. I thought that'd been really cool. Just the fact that she was sitting there was kind of a cool Easter egg in and of itself. But yeah, I thought that was
maybe we'll see in the Wakanda Forever movie. I don't know.
Maybe
could tie in.
Yep, we shall see.
But
I still enjoyed it. I mean, like I'm not like this. Like I said, I can see the faults and the flaws in this by any stretch. I mean, again, this is just my personal experience. I know that not everybody's gonna have the same, the same way with it. But that's just me.
Who the hell's trying to jump in here right now?
Who the fuck?
Probably Kate. No, I have the room locked. Who the hell did try to jump in here right now?
The real Cody 29.
How did Cody's in here? Really?
I don't know who you are, but okay.
I'm trying to bring up Discord. Hold on a second. I could have swore the room was locked.
Should be.
Anyway, while I try to redo cameras now because cameras are all in this.
Actually, there isn't like a little lock next to it. I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh, you know what? I may have unlocked it to let text in. Oh well.
I
need to. Where is my? Why would not open Discord? The window. Anyway.
We know what's happening next.
But he's pulling out the blaster.
Oh snap! You see Loki with a side little side blaster? Yeah.
I was just saying, like, you know, I get that the movie's not for everybody. I get that, you know, like I said, just my personal takeaway from it.
Look at that. That was easy, wasn't it?
Well, I don't want to say that I didn't like the movie. I mean, it's look, right. the humor is good, and there are some emotional things that are hit with Jane's character that I think are very good. I think they finally did Jane and Thor a little more correctly. Too bad it had to be because Jane was dying. Spoiler alert. But and again, there is not enough gore in this movie. The parts on that little when they're in the Shadow Realm, when they're fighting Gore, I thought that is some of the best stuff in the entire film.
When it went black and white.
When it went black and white, I thought that was awesome. The way that
like
he
just
shot
a little
that
bits
was
of
pure gold.
The little bits of color when their weapons clash and shit, like that was kind of cool.
I was about to say visually, it's one of my favorites because I mean, you know, for better or for worse, that's one thing that Taika is very, very good at as far as like the visual aesthetics of like the use of color and everything like that. And I think, the Shadow Realm clashing with black and white versus color was phenomenal.
That was sweet.
Yeah, but what did you guys think of the little girl? I mean, the way it ends with Thor taking on the mantle of father, not just warrior, but father to Gore's daughter.
Because they did make that little line where he's like, "Well, I think," or about talking about being a father. I was like, "Okay, maybe." It kind of had like a little bit of a Jack attack kind of feel from like the Incredibles. When she goes to talk and shoots on him, he puts up the frying pan. He's like, "Really?" And now it's ruined. I'm like.
Well, did you guys know that both that one scene where Thor's running through the woods early in the movie, the younger version of Thor is actually his son.
Nice.
Is actually Hemsworth's son, and the girl that plays Gore's daughter is actually Hemsworth's daughter.
Yes, that I knew. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay.
Well, I was laughing because somebody had made a joke on one of the other channels that I watched that when they were having that conversation towards the end of the movie about what shoes to wear. He's like, it's funny because that conversation has probably happened 1,000 times in real life between Hemsworth and his daughter.
Probably. So. Yeah. No, I think that the ending with love makes sense for the journey of Thor in terms of, you know, at that point in time for him. I personally enjoyed that part because I was like, okay, yeah, it was a little like kind of like, you know, plot convenience as far as wrapping things up in time, but I still think it made to me it made the most it made sense for the overall growth of Thor of like, yes, he's lost everything, he's lost this, he's somewhat crestfallen, he's about to lose another person he loves. What else does he have left to lose? Even he says it, and then finding like kind of a, you know, revival in his life or revival in his purpose, I think made sense.
He found his glorious purpose.
Another thing, again, this wouldn't have been a good movie to put it in anyway, but we still haven't seen White Vision yet, Jeremy. He's just out there somewhere.
I know.
West Coast Avengers.
Where else is this guy gonna not show up at this point? But
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't have fit in this movie
He's on the
anyway.
ship of pieces.
No, I know. I'm just it's I don't anymore.
But it's been like what, a year and a half since he flew off the end of WandaVision. We haven't heard hide nor hair of him. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a little crazy.
Something like that.
Take a minute to vote in the poll. Those of you who haven't already, thank you for all those people who came back after our technical difficulties. But we've had 20 votes in the poll. That's pretty good. So far, right now, it's a little bit split. It's about where I figured it might be. 55% of you say you did like Thor: Love and Thunder. 45% of you said you did not. That's pretty close. I mean, that's kind of, I figured it would be somewhere around there. I thought maybe no would have a slight advantage, but you know, yes has got it. That's fine by me.
That's kind of how I felt about it too. I couldn't really say one way or the other if I liked it or hated it, but
let's go to the post-credit scenes real quick. We'll start to wrap this up since this is going a lot later than I planned on it going. The first one with Thor with Zeus and Hercules. Again, a little bit of funny, but as he's bitching about, and this is where I actually kind of liked what he did with Zeus. He seemed to be very, very pissed off when he said, because he says people used to look to the sky and look for us, and now they look to the sky for their superheroes. We're going to make it to where they look for us again. Kind of very dramatically, very ominously, like Zeus wants to do some shit to put the Greek gods, or you know, the collection of gods back on top as far as the pecking order is concerned. I mean, what did you guys think of this whole thing, especially when he looks up at his son and says, "Hercules, I want you to do this for me," and then he stands up with his I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but it's basically got roughly the same powers as Mjolnir. So it's his own little hammer.
It's some sort of like it's some sort of like it's like the thing the Iron Sheik uses when he worked out. you know, like I know what you're talking about. Kind of going back to what we're talking about, like this is where I kind of tilt my head a little bit because I actually love the mid-credit scene, and the idea of Hercules versus Thor is very interesting to me. The reason why Zeus sends over Hercules, though, or seemingly to send over Hercules, is a little head-scratching to me, though.
Well,
because
have
the comics happen somehow, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, because Hercules in the comics, he goes toe-to-toe with Thor. I think he's involved in fights with Hulk. I mean, so it's not just that I don't think he'll just be a Thor thing. I am curious as to how they use him in the larger MCU going forward. I mean, because he does at one point, I think he eventually becomes part of the Avengers in the comic books too, but I'm not 100% sure.
And the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Not the Avengers, the Thunderbolts. But, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him moving forward. I mean, there's so many characters they need to introduce, though. I mean, you've got the Fantastic Four that are coming at some point. You've now got 400 million mutants that you have to introduce at some point, or at least the ones that you want to work with. I don't know where he fits in. I have a feeling he's going to be specific to Thor and whatever happens with his personal story next. So Thor 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, directed by James Cameron, are probably going to all include him in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But the other one, and one of the scenes that I really, really liked, it was one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie, that post-credit scene with Jane entering Valhalla.
Yes.
I thought that scene was so beautifully done.
That was great.
I mean, because for one, it's a fitting ending for her. I mean, she even before she picked up Mjolnir, she like Pepper and like so many other women, like Natasha, like so many other women in this franchise, displayed their bravery. I mean, you don't always have to have a superpower or some kind of special ability to contribute to defeating someone like Thanos. I mean, it helps, but you don't always have to have one of those abilities to be significant to the story and how things play out. And Jane has been very, very significant. So I thought it was a fitting end for her. Now, of course, it was because she was actually a Thor that she was granted entry into Valhalla. But when she kind of apparates back in from the stars, and I saw Heimdall right there, I was like, oh, this is beautiful right here. It's fantastic. Jeremy, what do you think of that?
As soon as I saw him, and I already about fell out of my chair, I'm like, is this Valhalla? Oh my fucking god, holy shit. And I was freaking out. And as soon as, and I know that he was still just, in case you didn't get it, and he said, well, welcome to Valhalla. I was like, oh shit, here we go.
I would have
means, but I don't care.
I really wanted to see more of Valhalla, but it's a post-credit scene, so I know they're not.
I know. I'm like, I want to see who else is in there.
I want to know, but yeah, it was a great visual. Connor, what do you think of that? Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, given who because my only thing, I was like, I want to see who else is in there. Given who I'm dressed up as, I know it doesn't matter, but I was like, is the other Loki there? Because he died in battle. He got his neck snapped by fucking Thanos. So
true.
Is our OG Loki in there, even though we still have 2012 Loki running around in the multiverse?
I don't know. Something they're going to have to answer in Loki Season 2, I guess. Connor, what do you think of that post-credit scene in Valhalla?
There are two takeaways for me for that scene. One, it was beautiful. It was like that nice, that was like feel-good, happy moment ending of like especially seeing Heimdall there, because obviously we saw his son and kind of like getting a little bit of closure in that aspect, and then Jane's closure. It was a feel-good ending, which I really appreciated. The second thing that it made me think of was like, oh, like they're actually confirming that Valhalla is an actual place,
that's what I thought too.
Could lead to a lot of because obviously now with both, I mean, Black Panther started it, but with Moon Knight it kind of more affirmated the idea of, hey, these afterlife planes of existence exist, so we're going in all sorts of different directions now. So, I mean, we obviously knew from Norse mythology and from Thor's previous movies and everything like that, Valhalla was a thing, but now we confirmed it's an actual physical location. It's like, okay, well now there's a lot of interesting things that could happen here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that too, because not only do we have the multiverse stuff happening right now because of Doctor Strange, the event of that film.
I blame Spider-Man.
One of the things that happened in Moon Knight was they opened up the idea of these realms. Now, they've talked about it before. Like you said, Black Panther, they talk about the realm. They talk about the astral planes, things like that. So Valhalla is another one of those places that is a realm. So I'm wondering, now that they're starting to introduce the idea of these different realms, because they really went into that one episode of Moon Knight where they were on the boat with the hippo goddess. I forget her name. The name.
Oh,
she really... she really goes into an explanation of that over the course of that episode. So now that we're being given Valhalla, I do wonder, are we going to go back to Valhalla for some significant dialogue and scenes? And is that going to be a way where they bring people back? I mean, because I know New Rockstars did this whole video about how they think Tony Stark is in Valhalla. And I'm like,
I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. But I mean...
Clickbait.
Well, because someone has that picture of at the funeral. Everyone looks pretty somber and sad, but they said that you notice Thor's demeanor is slightly different because they know in Thor's mind he went to Valhalla, even though he's not part of that mythology. It's like to Thor he knows, well, this man died in battle, and that's where he would end up in Valhalla. So to him, that's kind of that's why he was the way he was. I'm like, but I don't think he literally went to Valhalla. So.
Right, but what it does, I mean, especially with Taret was the name, by the way, of the hippo goddess in Moon Knight. What that did with Moon Knight was that opened up yet another plane of existence between different dimensions, multiverses, and timelines. It's like, okay, cool, another location or area we can go to.
It looks like a mental hospital.
I could not shut up about how great Moon Knight was, but anyway,
it was good.
But I mean, obviously, you could look at it one of two ways. It could be just like a good ending, a nice little like happy-go-lucky ending, and like something akin of like the Doctor Strange ending with Bruce Campbell stopping to punch himself, or it could be just like we're just gonna leave this here, and we'll see how things go. They could literally do nothing with it. They could do anything they want with it. It's like one of those things like, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's a nice closure.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's for you guys to decide ultimately if you like Thor: Love and Thunder. I'll go ahead and close the poll, but we've got 20 votes now. Thank you guys so much for voting in that. 55% of you said yes, you did like Thor: Love and Thunder, while 45% of you said no. Again, thank you guys very much for contributing in the poll. We very much appreciate it. I don't know. I'll go to you first, Connor. Any closing thoughts on this movie as we start to wrap things up?
I think that, like I said, I understand that I can completely, I'm not blind to the faults of this movie, but at the same time, I take a step back and I still, I think it's one of my more, personally, it's a more enjoyable movie for me than I think the majority of it. So give it the love and thunder it deserves. Boom.
How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of like with how the poll felt. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love and thunder it at the same time. That sounds weird. I don't know. We'll think of more puns. It was a fun time, and yeah, there was closure for the Jane storyline, which was nice. Like I said, seeing Valhalla. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Even it was a quick explanation of just, hey, she's just the mighty Thor now. I'm like, okay, don't care. That's cool. And don't care as in like I didn't care. I was like, I don't really care. Sure. I don't care how you did it. It's awesome. Because, you know what, this iteration of Mjolnir was fucking pretty cool. When it just splits off into pieces and, like, takes out 20 guys like a shotgun blast and materializes back again, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Again, you don't have to explain it to me. I don't care. It's awesome.
I'm going to put you on the spot real quick here, Connor. I'm going to make you rate a movie. I hate rating movies. I think it's terrible. But I'm going to make you rate the movie. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it?
Oh, jeez.
7. I'm gonna go with a 7. I think that's a fair statement because, like I said, I think that for me, again, me personally, positives outweigh the negatives in this one. And not saying there's not negatives. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I think a 7 out of 10. I think that the emotional moments, the serious moments, gore hits it out of the park. Who doesn't love screaming goats? I mean, come on, that meme will never die.
I thought we were gonna fucking get right past that.
I was going to mention it here in a minute.
No, damn you!
Listen, here's what I'll say: the screaming goats. Not every single scream hit me, but there was one in particular that I couldn't help but just laugh my ass off. It's when it hits one of the shadow monsters in the shadow realm, just out of nowhere. It just bucks it, and I don't know why. It just caught me off guard, made me laugh my ass off. But yeah, I'd say 7. I think there are more positives than negatives to it, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Jeremy, how about you? I'm going to make you rate the movie, too. I guess we'll all go ahead and do it since I put Connor on the spot.
Well, as long as you give one as well.
I will.
You did this to yourself. You know what? I'll give it a 6.8. I didn't want to give it a 6, but I'm like, I wouldn't go so far as like as a 7 because I mean, yeah, there are things that give it that do give it its depth, and unfortunately, it's not really Thor, which sucks. I mean, like the cool like broken Mjolnir, Jane being the mighty Thor, and obviously Batman the God Butcher was pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. You know how many times I saw that damn joke? Or it's him as Batman as Christian Bale, then him as Gore as Atheist Bale. Like the jokes just write themselves.
I haven't seen the Atheist one. That's fantastic.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah, it's him as like Bruce Wayne. It says Christian Bale, and it's him as Gore, and it says Atheist Bale. I'm like, God damn it.
Okay, that's good.
I'm glad the original post, somebody was like, I saw this before I saw the movie, so it just kind of ruined it for me. I'm like, it's funny. Come on. I'm glad I saw it after the fact. I'd just be laughing too hard at that. But you know what? No, he knocked it out of the park, man. Holy crap. He scared me a little bit too. So I'm like, I like the Dark Knight. I like Batman. What the hell happened to you? Yeah, like I said, some makeup and effects and some method acting. Fucking man, talk about range. Yeah, I'll stick with the 6.8.
Yeah, as for me, again, a lot of the comedy stuff too much. There's way too much depth here that you're not exploring. In Thor, again, you made him kind of the third wheel in his own movie, which I didn't like. Natalie Portman was fantastic. I think that what they did with her character was great. It was a great send-off. I'm sad that she's not out there in the world anymore in the MCU, but if you're gonna kill Natalie Portman's character, Jane Foster, this is a good way to do it. I think they paid a lot more respect to her character than they did in previous movies.
Actually, Frank, if I can throw something into the wheel of your a wrench into your rating here. They brought back your girl, Kat Dennings.
They did. For like half a scene, though.
You're not mad,
Hey,
though.
it's still better than
You're not
nothing.
mad.
I'm not
Come
going to
on.
lie. When she came on scene, my heart fluttered a little bit because I have a big crush on Kat Dennings. But yeah, again...
Well, let me influence you. I'm just saying. She was there.
Again, Christian Bale runs away with this movie. I mean, he is at least a top 3 villain. He's right up there with Loki to me. Not quite Thanos, but he's right up there with Loki to me. I would love to have seen more of him in this. I love his darkness. I mean, he does like American Psycho. This, I mean, he does darkness very, very well. He convinces you that he is lost in this evil. And it's again, it's a fantastic performance by him. One of my personal favorite Christian Bale performances. I'm probably going to go see the movie again in theaters at least one more time because A, it's a Marvel movie, and B, it was enjoyable. I'll go ahead and rate this one because I have to now because I put myself on the hook for doing it.
You did. You played yourself.
I'll give it a 6. I mean, I really wanted to give it like a weak 7, but I'll give it a 6. Again, I don't like. I mean, making Thor not like the third most important character in his own movie is bad. You're not exploring the mythology. You did a lot of great... Look, Screaming Goats for me are one of the best things about this fucking movie. And my personal favorite Screaming Goat scene is when they're going into the Shadow Realm and they land on that little moon. How they kind of crash land, and then they have that like 2 seconds of dead air. And all I hear is ah! I was like, I laughed that scene got the biggest laugh out of me in this movie. And there was a lot of funny parts in this movie to laugh at. That scene got me. I was like, that scene almost put me on the floor laughing. I thought it was perfect. Just that little bit of dead air before you hear them go, ah! I just thought that was beautiful.
I think it was that when there was a scene where they were summoning by the Bifrost and you just hear the scream like fade off, like ah! that.
But
Screaming Goats are a fun meme, but it's every time. I don't know. It just annoyed the shit out of me. I don't hate Screaming Goats. I think it's funnier than hell, especially when they put it into a Taylor Swift song. I'm like, that's funny. Now, do I want to see you do that every 10 minutes in a fucking like 2-hour movie? No. God damn, it was annoying. I'm sorry. I thought it was annoying. It was funny the first 2 times, and it annoyed the shit out of me. I'm sorry. Don't let me break your hearts with that.
I think that just about wraps it up on our end. Thank you again for all of those of you who came back after our slight technical difficulties. We very much appreciate it. We got 15 people watching right now. Thank you again. Thank you very, very much for giving us a little bit of leeway with the technical stuff. Thank you guys very much for watching. And thank you to all the people that joined me. Thank you to Cora, who had to check out a little bit earlier because she, is just tired and she works like the rest of us. You can catch her on here every Thursday and then in the chat room and various other stuff around the community. So make sure you go show her some love as well. And thank you, of course, to our special guest today, my good friend Connor from the Horny Goat. What do you guys got going on your channel right now?
Mix of different things. We're still doing some gameplay, some Fall Guys, some of course WWE 2K22. We do have a random. We do have our podcast No Bucks Given every single Saturday night that you can catch. It's kind of like a news and general kind of content and stuff every weekend, and then the Marvel Roundtable every 2 weeks or so now. Now we're into Phase 4. You can check us all out on the Horny Goat channel. So make sure you give us the love.
Are you going to be doing the Disney Plus shows as well, like WandaVision and all that stuff? Okay, cool. WandaVision's the next on the docket. We're doing it in order of which the shows or the movies were released. Okay. I figured that's the best because if I try to do it chronologically, I will drink myself into a liver disease.
That's fair.
Fair enough. And definitely go check him out. I don't think I put the link in yet, but I will put the link to their channel in the description below if I don't have it done already. And then, of course, to my hetero life mate, Jeremy, my man, where can the folks find you on the internet?
Well, I'm always here. I'm always here on Thursdays doing this with all of you guys. And maybe sometimes Monday if Frank remembers to call off from work. Because I was so ready to do this on Monday, but I did not know. I was kind of wondering why you said Thursday. But all the same. So it may be Mondays depending on when, if it's a big movie we're going to go review. And I'm also over on Twitch. Still working through finding all the secrets and just kind of generally dicking around in Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. It's a big haul. I'm telling you what. It's fun. I mean, I think me and 10 Septim kind of got a pretty good teamwork down. We can like split off and do our own thing, but then some things we've cheesed to get some of these secrets. But whatever. If it wasn't there in the game, they wouldn't let us do it. You know what I mean? So that's going on. Also doing stuff with Brooding Gamer, who's been on here a few times. Got some stuff in the pipe. It just is a matter of Amazon orders and crap coming in, so we can actually film stuff. Because you can film stuff, but if you don't look the part, it's not gonna. I mean, as you can tell, if you don't look the part, it don't work. That's why I came back as the God of Mischief. Also, I'm rewatching Loki with my mom at the moment, so that's why I'm hyped again. It's like the third or fourth time I've seen the show, and I'm not mad about it. It's all for the glorious purpose. And I keep trying to not say, and that's pretty much it, because I love that YouTube channel. But whatever. I always want to end with that, and I know I shouldn't, so I'll think of something. I'll whisper something in Thor's ear that I'll just never tell you what it is. Fucking. He said he's never going to tell us what she said. I'm like, I don't care. We don't know what she said at the end of What About Bob, but who fucking cares?
That should be between them. That's okay. Also, you can find him on Grim Tuesday 23 across all platforms. And Jeremy didn't even notice I put his Twitch link under the gaming section in the description.
Aww.
See, I do love you. You are special to me.
I'm Love and Thunder. Thank you.
Love and Thunder. As for me, you can find me here every Thursday going over all the craziness that happens in the world of entertainment television, giving you my thoughts on all the television and movie stuff that's coming out. Today just happened to be Thor, Love, and Thunder. Also, you can find me on Sundays at 9 o'clock, whatever time. I think it's my time, whatever it is, Eastern time, over on the DRL News and Podcast channel, where we go over all the other craziness that is happening around the world that does not necessarily include the entertainment universe. Also, don't forget to go check out Connor. I've been on his channel a couple times. Thank you again very much, Connor, for coming in. A lot of great talk from you. Thank you very much. Thank you to my friend Jeremy, as always, for being so wonderful. And thank you to all of you who came back again. Thank you so much for coming back after the technical difficulties. I will work on that.
You're the real Love and Thunder.
Yeah, you guys are the reason. Thank you so very much. Thank you again for John Elite 45 for life for subscribing. Hopefully you did not get turned off by our little technical difficulties, but we're getting very, very close to 500 subscribers. 400 is getting close. We have, I know it hasn't updated the counter yet, but we are at 391 now. Just a minute ago, I was looking at my phone. So thank you guys very much for coming and checking us out every week. And we will see you guys